Go
Off to the races.
live.
There they go.
Oh god.
Wait, we're starting on time? A stream is starting on time?
Well, this is Metal's Forge. It's not
We-
EFAP,
yeah.
okay?
We pretty much start on
We
time
also
usually.
this is Metal's Forge, aka we have EFAP at home.
We have EFAP in Germany.
In Germany, EFAP. More like
Every
Metal.
frame pauses you.
Yeah.
All right, here we are. Fringy, what were you gonna say?
This is not even so we start on time.
I've forgotten.
Ah,
Sorry.
damn.
Can wreck you, please.
Well.
I have offended the long, but that's fine. You can beat me up next week. It's gonna be great.
Streams never start on time. This is a rarity.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, chat, what's going on? Did you
Yeah,
all
hey,
get
chat,
lost?
what's
What are
up?
you doing here? What's
Have
going
you
on?
been good boys and girls?
Yeah, you gonna get the present or the VIP?
Today they're not going to get a present.
No.
Today they're gonna get a big old lump of coal in their
Yeah.
stocking.
No, they're gonna get a present, a big blue present.
A big blue
And
present.
it's 3 hours long.
A big blue
And
present.
you don't get to leave.
I can appreciate James Cameron's taste in breast size.
Already starting with the memes, I guess. Have you
The
seen the
no-
movie?
Whoa,
No, none of
me-
us has seen the movie.
I don't know about memes. I'm just
You don't-
saying the Navi are not a voluptuous people.
No, they
which
really
is
aren't.
Fine, which is fine. I wouldn't expect them to be.
Yeah.
So, how do we start? How do you normally start these?
I mean, it's just some bands, just see what's happening. I don't know.
All right, what's going on? What's happening?
I mean, I started a stream just now. It's pretty good.
Very cool.
people
What
watching.
are you? What's on your Christmas list?
Crimbo list.
What's in your list for Crimgrow?
Crimgrow.
Chris.
If Santa Claus were to swing around, and what is your hope that he would leave under that there tree?
Well, I would like to have a wireless 5.1 music system. That would be nice because the current one I have is not very good and old.
Right.
That's all I can think of right now.
Fair.
Money is always nice.
Money's the gift cards for everywhere.
Yeah, gift cards.
Maybe that is something I would get in the future.
I think I'm getting some kind of God of War sweater or hoodie or something because that's something
cool.
I told someone. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I mean, that's how you know you're an adult when you're like, you know what I'd like for Christmas? Like a hoodie. I'd like a nice anorak. I told my folks, give me good like thick hiking socks. Give me let's like a good blanket. You know, I could use that. It's gonna get cold here later this week. So like, all right, well we got Amazon gift cards, money, just anything you think that would surprise me that I'd like. Adult things, you know. It's not just toys, and goodies. It's like, ooh, I get socks, you know, a good 4-pack of nice socks. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
I'll wear these.
because something that happens when you become an adult is like, oh man, I need this thing or I want this thing. Oh, I guess I'm gonna buy it.
Well, that's how it works. Yeah, most of the time. But I guess the fact that you're receptive to socks, it's like, oh yeah, socks. I need those.
I use these. If you give me 4 pairs of socks,
lame.
4 more days, I don't have to do the laundry.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is anything that I would want costs somewhere like it's either like $5 or $500, and neither of those are really appropriate.
They're gonna give you
if it's $5. I'll just buy it
the
myself.
$5 one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, you could buy me some more fucking dish soap. I need dishwasher detergent.
You
like,
use that
is
dish soap.
Is that a good?
You miss
gift?
that when you're gone. When you're out of dish soap, oh, it's like being out of milk.
Sucks.
Why live?
Yeah, we need sponges right now.
Spungos.
I wonder if Navi's milk is blue as well. If they have the Star Wars crossover and so they give blue milk.
I was about to say maybe it's some Star Wars.
Some blue Pandora milk.
Delish. God damn.
The finest.
I only asked
Whatever-
for clothes on Christmas and my birthday. Oh, that's nice.
Look, if I had to have a secretion off of Pandora, I would definitely take the whale brain juice. That seems pretty good.
Oh yeah. It's very expensive though.
True.
It's
but
That's a
it's
weird
80
thing they
million
introduced.
per that much. Yeah. Isn't
Which
that
is,
weird
I
that
think
they had a whole? Well,
that's
I guess we'll get
times
into that
as
in
much
the
as unobtainium.
discussion.
What was that, Frankie?
Yeah. It's worth 4 times as much as unobtainium, which itself was already incredibly
Right.
expensive. But I guess that way we're jumping ahead because it's just
Very unobtainium.
Yeah.
Which is actually,
That's
you'd
such a
think that
stupid name.
it's renewable, which almost kind of makes it like this is it's from whale brains, so that's like a resource that we could renew. You'd be I feel like you'd be just like instantly like we need to find out how to farm these bitches.
Yeah, how do we get whales to fuck in like in a controlled environment and then catch them?
No.
Or you just
like,
let
kill
them.
them.
Like you're very well. We'll get into it. I'm sure that it's where to maybe Metal. You could take charge of your podcast here.
What? No.
You could direct, and you could. All right, then
I would
I'll do it.
guess-
Let's go from left to right.
No.
And what? Do you want to take charge now? Have you swapped
am I
to
on the
becoming
left?
instantly jealous?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
All the time.
You can see our order on the
Yeah.
on the Discord file.
Alphabetical.
Also, this is the
So,
first time
yeah.
there's 4 people on the Forge. We only just
Oh.
had 3 people at once, and now this was supposed
That's
to be
fun.
2 people, and now it's 4 because this is a crazy, crazy world we live in.
That's fun.
Okay,
It's gonna
so
be loud.
Mahler is going to direct us from chat, and he told me to
Oh.
go first. So I guess I'll
Mahler,
go first.
why the fuck isn't he in here? He watched the movie.
Well, I asked him. He's like,
I don't think Mahler wants to talk about it.
I gotta
Why the
have to
fuck doesn't he?
have to do other things and stuff.
Fine. Apparently not.
He was
'cause he's
he was too
Yeah.
bored to talk about it in DMs. But yeah, so I'm assuming that I liked the movie more than the rest of you guys, honestly. I didn't completely hate it. There were parts of it I enjoyed. I was mostly perplexed that the movie is just like pretty inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Like what's really weird to me is that, you have 5 big blockbuster movies planned, right? And I felt like this one just didn't really change much of anything from the end of the last one.
Hmm.
That's what's pretty weird to me. To me, it felt like they gave Terrence Malick like $300 million to make a blockbuster, and he got about half of what he wanted. There's these weird, like philosophical, like slow sequences of like stuff happening in the ocean and like, people talking dialogue and voiceover. It just felt like fucking Tree of Life at the time. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I'll take it over Marvel, but obviously, I don't know. Kind of boring, kind of weird, but it's okay. I don't know. You can go, Fringy.
So in order, like before watching the second one, I went and rewatched the first film, and I came away from that with a sort of lowered perspective of that film. I think before that I was always like, yeah, it's okay. I kind of don't think I think it's like below average. I think it's got like I don't think that it achieves anything particularly interesting by way of writing, and it has some pretty standard plotting flaws. It comes across as kind of an insecure film in a lot of ways with like the narration. Like they don't trust the audience to like pick up anything that they're going for, and the reality is that like what they're going for thematically, it's not that complicated. It is a film that is very much relies on its spectacle, that it was groundbreaking at the time. And I mean, it still looks pretty good now, but yeah, like it's pretty standard mediocre like sort of film, which is not. James Cameron's made a lot of great films, so in that regard, it's like, that's kind of lame. I think Avatar 2 is worse than the first film. I think it's got a lot of the same problems, but it's also got a lot more of the standard like writing problems of these incredibly thin world building, really stupid things happening in the plot. I think the third act like totally falls apart. Like I wasn't even like really happy with what was going on before that, but like it completely falls apart during the third act. And I get the feeling with now having seen both of those films that like what Avatar is, it's like the first draft of a really interesting idea. It's like the idea of Pandora and the Na'vi and like the consciousness spanning a whole planet. Like it feels like what they have made here is like the first draft of that idea, that they have really allowed a lot of opportunities to make it more interesting sort of slip away, in favor of just spending a lot of time on what is ultimately pretty hollow spectacle that doesn't really do a lot to advance character of just people swimming around for like 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's kind of bad.
All right. Yeah,
It's monumental.
I also watched the first one. I was like, yeah, that's probably like a 4 or something. But I also gave myself the benefit of not watching it all at once. So I just watched the one half the one day and the other half the next day. So that made it much more bearable for how long it is. And then I went out to watch Avatar 2, and Avatar 2 was basically like the end of the day for me, which was a pretty neat day. Like just riding my bicycle, doing some moving around, hung out with some friendos, and went to the Crimbus market, just checking things out. Then got some KFC, just all good day. And it's like, you know what? We're gonna finish that day by going to the cinema flames and go watch that movie. So it's just kind of cozied up in the cinema, just like, yeah, watching a movie full of food, pretty good. And then I watched all the spectacle and and the graphics. Like, man, this all looks really impressive. And I just kept looking at all the graphics. It's like, man, this was probably really hard to pull off, and this probably took like a million years to render. And man, it's really good. It's like, oh yeah, there's a story. It's like, yeah, I guess it's whatever. It's there. I couldn't think about anything when I came out of the cinema that made it fall into itself right out of the gate. But yeah, then just having some thinkings about it, and then writing some stuff down. It's like, oh, there's some weird stuff happening here. And then, as Fringy already said, the last part, the last third of the movie is like, what's going on here? This is kind of weird. Also, why do the humans have so much trouble with defeating all these people? They kind of just annihilate everything in the beginning, but we'll get there very shortly. So yeah, probably on board with calling it worse than the first one. I'm actually not sure how low I would go, because I'm still not quite sure. Thing is, I wasn't like super interested in like doing a deep dive into the movie. Like I did want to talk about it because I think it's really interesting.
To do in terms of the problem is that it's like, I don't know, man, like these films are pretty shallow.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like I was doing notes and it's like, oh, this is the part where they just in that new city and do things for like an hour.
Well, I mean, we spent a long time talking about God of War Ragnarok. One of the things that I would say about the story that's told in that game is it's incredibly dense. It's incredibly dense, particularly with thematic weight. You could identify like 4 or 5 really core themes that permeate, like the whole story, plus a bunch of smaller points that are made, as well as, like a bunch of backstory for characters, a huge amount of lore. Like that's a story that's incredibly dense. Whereas here, I don't know that there's like that much to be said about it.
Basically, what you see is what you get. There's there's really nothing to dive into. It's like, oh, this could mean this and this and this. Just like, oh yeah, okay, this is what we're doing. Gotcha.
I also hope the chat has appreciated our many water-related puns. There's not much to dive into. It's pretty shallow. Those were definitely planned.
Just put us up wet. So in conclusion, I enjoyed it when I watched it, but this is definitely a thing where just talk about it a little bit. It's just like, yeah, it's very shallow and probably not very good. But I really liked how it looked. Like I was very impressed with all the technology that went into it. Because that's the whole thing why this took so long to come out. They had to develop actual new technology to do all these underwater shots and stuff, which
looked fantastic. It's like it looked really, really great, and I feel like it's definitely set the high watermark or the high bar for.
Here we go again.
Like what underwater? You compare it to Aquaman. Like
I don't know. No,
it's not even close.
Fun enough, Aquaman 2 had more genocide than this one.
Oh yeah, for those who don't know, Aquaman, the crab people were fighting against the bad guys, and like Aquaman decimated them. He like lifted a giant sea monster out of the ocean beneath all of the crab people and killed many of them, even though they were on his side.
They're all dead.
Okay, so
and then he led all the animals to their deaths. Like he just sent them to fight his war.
I don't know. Is it compulsion? Like they have to do what he
They do
says?
exactly what he says, which is kind of similar
It
to
feels
a
very
little bit like-
exploitative.
Hmm.
Well,
Can, can we all agree the crab robots were cool?
I love the crab robots.
I thought the
Crab robots are pretty
kind
cool.
of interesting.
I
I thought
did.
they were neat.
I basically I like most of the designs for the human technology stuff. I enjoyed those greatly.
Yeah, I like the
actually.
aesthetic of
Yeah.
a lot of the human stuff.
It's good stuff. Also, yeah,
yeah,
I watched it in high frame rate and 3D, so I got the full
Yeah, me too.
spectrum. Not that I had a choice because the English version only came in that version here in Germany. So get wrecked me. You gotta pay the extra, or you don't get to watch the movie in English. And yeah, I liked it. I think it worked pretty well. There was some hiccups with movement here and there where they just kind of moved weirdly. But for the most part, like all the shots, like from the environments and stuff, they look gorgeous, really good, really good. But yeah, there you go. Roogs, go right ahead.
Oh boy. Avatar 2. I don't just think that this movie is very bad. I kind of hate it.
Oh,
On not like not a very personal level, but sort of on a personal level. I hate this movie. I think it's gorgeous. I think that it is one of the best looking things I've seen. I appreciate immensely what it's probably going to help do for, CGI and motion capture and all the technology that goes into that. But the plot is terrible. The characters are mediocre to bad. In fact, I think that virtually anything that has to do with the storytelling aspect of this movie is crap. I was extremely unimpressed with anything that wasn't essentially its aesthetics. It seems like a movie. It felt like a movie that was written by a 12-year-old who doesn't understand anything about nuance or subtlety or good pacing. I have like I said, nothing positive to say about the movie that is not aesthetic. It was a drag to watch. The pacing was terrible. These insanely long sequences of just pretty colors and you swimming around. We get very, very little in terms of. I think someone had said this is a very not dense story. Fringy said Ragnarok was dense. It is. This is the opposite of that. There is so little in here of substance for how long you are taking in this story and watching this movie. And we'll get into all the reasons why none of this seems to make sense or why it's just poorly written. But I'm very negative about this film.
oh joy! This is gonna be fun.
So, really quick, so Fringy said that Avatar 1 looked pretty good. So here's a question to open this up. How many films after Avatar 1 look better than Avatar 1? Because I don't know of any.
Well, so something I would say is that I think what I was excited for Avatar 2 was I wanted to see where we actually are in terms of like the best that we can achieve with visual effects, because when you look at like current Marvel, it feels pretty it's like, oh man, shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not great. And so then you watch this film and it looks absolutely incredible. It's like, so that's like the bar. This is the bar. Kind of in the same way that Avatar set the bar. Avatar, I think, holds up pretty well. I think the environments hold up better than the characters. I think there were some scenes where the characters look kind of
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Kind of like, I guess, like very shiny. Like they don't like a lack of tangibility. Like their skin is a little too smooth. Like it doesn't, like you can't really pick out any fine details. But then there are some shots that still look really great. Like overall. Considering that it came out in 2009, I think it's pretty impressive to this day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Avatar 2 is like, it looks incredible. It looks fantastic. That's like the main thing. That's the main thing I would praise about this film. Because I just, I'm not receptive to the story, really.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's really gonna knock the visual, like the technical skill that's on. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it looks incredibly good. I mean, I'm tempted to say Avatar 1 looks even better than Avatar 2, honestly. I mean, at the very least, it's
no.
close.
I don't
Yeah,
think so.
Avatar
I
1
don't think
looks
it's close.
really good. I rewatched it.
It does
right
look
before
pretty
this.
good.
look
Well, I
really good.
rewatched it too. I think it looks pretty good, but Avatar 2 looks better in every regard.
Yeah.
It might be the
Absolutely.
case. It's hard to I watched one on my little fucking non HD monitor, one of them in IMAX, so it's pretty hard to
Ah, right,
compare.
Yeah, it's this one looks really good. Like it's kind of one of those films that makes me sit there and go, can we do much better than this? Like at a lot of times, I'm just sort of
I don't-
sitting there watching, like as they're swimming around in the reef, and you've got all like the fish and all of like the light getting cast through the water. Like as you watching that, it's like, man, can we do better than this? There really is that thought a lot of the time.
The only things that I notice is like some of the character movements, and I wonder if that was like a thing they had to I don't know, lower the FPS on the character movements in some action scenes, because they sometimes looked a bit wonky, at least in high refresh, high
So
frame rate. I mean,
what I'm not sure if it was father, but something I noticed when I was watching the films that some shots were the high frame rate and some shots weren't. I'm not sure if that was like a problem with the one that was screening for me, or if that is like what it was, that there were some shots that were rendered at the higher frame rate and some that weren't. But I mean, in terms of like, there weren't many moments where I felt like, oh, that was rough. Like I can't even really think of them off the top of my head where I was watching it and went, it wasn't great. It just looked really good, like throughout.
Yeah, I think the only way you like substantially improve on this visually is with composition, not with like technical like quality. Like it's basically photorealistic. I don't know how you improve on it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I'm not sure how you do better than this, but maybe in 10 years I'll be like, wow, that was ridiculous that I said that. But it's just so something that I find interesting when I'm thinking about this film is something that James Cameron used to do was he always, or at least, you know, what I like, James Cameron's made some great films like Terminator 2 and Aliens. I love those films.
oh yeah.
Like, and something that he's always done is try to fuse technology with his storytelling to like elevate the storytelling. You saw it in like Terminator 1 with like using the stop motion for the T-800 like in the final act, and then obviously like Terminator 2 with the T-1000. The Abyss had some cool stuff in it. Titanic was like really ambitious in terms of what they were achieving with the practical effects combined with like visual effects. He's still like really pushing the technology, but like I guess I'm just kind of baffled about like his investment in Avatar as a story. I don't really understand it.
I think it's a sex thing.
I actually have I have a pretty strong theory about that.
Okay.
I think the only explanation I can think of is that this has to be a very strong environmental message thing. That's like what's going on.
Wow,
because the movie is like 3 hours to convince you to like fall in love with CGI whales. I mean, that's basically what the movie does.
So that's the thing, is that I can see that as the through line. I guess what baffles me about his investment in it is like, why are you invested in such a shallow like version of that idea? Like it's because I guess in terms of like one of the things that annoys me about the film is, and that I think has lost potential in this series, is how the conflict is really simple. The humans are bad and the Na'vi are good, and it's that's it, and it's not really up for debate. And they don't provide much information on like humanity's perspective gets even less focus in this film. And so you're left with many questions that just go unanswered about the nature of human operations and why they're here. Because we get like an offhand comment, "Oh, Earth is dying." It's like, is it now?
Yeah.
Last I remembered, that the whole point of the of going to Pandora was to get unobtainium because it was a superconductor. It's like, right. So I presume that the setup of the first film is Earth is depleted its natural resources. They need materials to create computers and stuff, medical equipment. And unobtainium is a superconductor, and because the only place they can get it is on Pandora, that's why it costs so much money. And it's like really important to maintaining Earth's infrastructure. The first film doesn't really provide that much on that. All we have is a corporation that's like, yeah, we're gonna make some money, and the Marines who scream, yeah, get some, as they blow up the tree. Like it's incredibly shallow. And it paints a pretty clear picture, right? The humans are bad and the Na'vi are good. Seems really odd that you would make that choice when I think it would be way more dramatically interesting if it was more gray, where like there was a level of desperation on the side of the humans where it's like they need these resources or society begins to crumble. And in the far future, if you got like billions and billions of humans, it's starting to like actually need to figure out how you're going to weigh the needs of so many people against the needs of the Na'vi. And like, is there an actually diplomatic solution, or does everything fall apart and then it's like tragic because you know that it's going to lead to an ongoing war? Like you don't get that, and this film gives you even less of that. I feel like this film is even more overt about humans being the bad guys. Like the fact that when they come back to Pandora, they come in these massive ships that like destroy hundreds of hectares of wilderness.
Yeah.
All the animals are getting burned up, all the trees are burning down, and then the ramp drops and through all of like the mist and the shimmer from the heat. You've got all of the humans in their robots, like
red
cloaked in
smoke
darkness.
coming out.
Yeah.
Red smoke, exactly.
Well,
And it's like, I get it. I get it. Humans suck. Right?
Infantile.
Aesthetically, you're right, but actually now there's a huge problem with the environmentalism message of the movie, because if Earth is dying, and humans need to come here to not die, that's a pretty fucking good reason to go to Pandora. Like before, they were just going over to basically blow up the tree to steal moon rocks for money. I mean that.
Well, yeah, the scenario
that's a very
set up
that's a
is
very
even more
transparent.
desperate.
Yeah,
It's even
so like
more desperate this time.
if the humans have to come here to survive, that's like, you know, getting on towards defensible, right? It really weakens like the claims of things. And then like the movie's trying to make you think like, oh, well, you know, they came here and they shot the whales. And it's like, dude, people on Earth eat animals just because they taste good. They have fucking the Philosopher's Stone in their brain. Of course people are gonna go kill the fucking whales. Like,
well, so I think it was pretty clear that the whale was meant to be, the impression I got is it's not meant to be an allegory for like whaling in our time, that it's meant to be more like ivory hunting. Where it's like you kill an animal and you leave behind like the whole body just because you want to get this little tiny bit. I guess the problem again with the allegory is that there's a difference between ivory and immortality whale juice.
Well,
think?
there's
a
these
difference between those two things.
stuff like the immortality juice it's thrown in seemingly just so casually, just like, oh yeah, it makes us immortal, and it
How did
kind
they
of
figure that
clouds the
out?
message almost. Like, why did you tell us this? What was the actual point of telling you this? This creates so many questions.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's meant to just be like,
It
we
fucks
see
the
the greedy
message.
humans, they kill in these animals for their own self-interest.
Yeah, because if you
Um,
say this gives you immortality, I'm like, whoa. Like, this is a
yeah,
whole
that's
movie.
immortality.
plot.
Immortality
idea
is
that if
pretty
you-
fucking lit.
So
Whoa,
like,
and-
yeah,
and
if
here's-
we harvest the brain of a whale, and probably a shit ton of people can live forever. It's like,
Yep.
and the movie just paints that as just like a terrible evil thing.
Well,
I'm
one
like,
of the
whoa,
things that
hold the phone.
one of the things that the film does is because it establishes that the whales are emotionally complex creatures like the Rancor, that they're
Like
they're
the
like
Rancor.
hyper-intelligent.
Oh, no.
They're smarter than us.
For reference,
They're
for those who
smarter
haven't
than us,
seen
like
the film,
dolphins or some shit.
like Quaritch links up with a whaling operation. They're whalers on the moon, literally, because
That's
Pandora
oh my
Whalers
god,
on
they
there.
are.
they are
Yep.
whalers on the moon, and they carry their
And they
harpoons.
carry a harpoon.
Yeah,
Holy
they do.
shit.
They carry their
You're right.
harpoons. But they're
They sing
Australian.
tall tales and sing a wailing tune.
Yeah, but there are whales. It's not like on our moon where there weren't any. But they are. There's this Australian guy who's like the leader of the operation. Another guy. He was from Flight of the Conchords, and he's just there to be like the disgruntled scientist who just scoffs at everything that they're doing in terms of their operations.
Oh, God.
And he's
Yeah,
the one
Jermaine
who
Clement, that was
basically
distracting.
chimes in and says like, "Oh yeah, that like." This is paying for the research because the information we get is that unobtainium is seemingly irrelevant now, which you can't do that. Like,
No.
I thought that it was worth $20 million a kilogram, all right? Like, and I presume that you still need to build computers because
Yeah.
if not, that just raises more questions about why it was so valuable if you don't actually need it. But now they're back for the whale juice. It's like, when did you find out that it makes you immortal? In those 15 years that you weren't here?
No,
How
I think
do you
the idea.
test that?
I think the
Well, those
idea.
people haven't died or something.
Well, they have the whole movie is 1 year after they come back, right? There's like another time skip.
I guess
And
it's
that's
just
where they
what
do
is
it.
the nature of this operation? In a year, you come back, you kill some whales, you extract their juice, and then
Yeah.
you're like, let's see what this does to human beings.
I guess
but
they
it's like-
molecularly analyzed it to
I guess.
something.
I guess, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
In a year, man. But
kinda-
then again,
I don't know.
It's lost to in a year we've achieved more than in the last 30. Really?
Yeah,
Have you?
it's
It's the progression of technology. It's exponential.
Except they
Yeah.
do a worse job fighting the Na'vi in this film than they did in the last
they
one.
do. They suck so
They
bad.
get
do,
obliterated.
yeah.
They get annihilated. They don't have any means of detecting the whale in the water when they are a whaling ship. Like, so
Yeah,
in
why
terms of
wouldn't
laying out
just
that whole
normal
thing,
sonar things would not
I
work
figured
in this
that
water?
would work.
That
And
should work.
besides, it's the future. It's the future. Like, I believe
so-
they got other means.
There was a film called Cowboys versus Aliens, and
Oh.
the premise just annoys me so much.
What was that
because
about?
It's like, yeah, cowboys can't fucking beat aliens. Like if they're able to travel through fucking space and they come across some guys with like a shotgun or something riding around on a horse, it's not a fight. You just lose. You're fucking cowboys. They're in a fucking spaceship with disintegration rays and shit.
Mhm.
And what's kind of weird about the setup of Avatar is that it's even worse than that. Like they're the fucking humans in this story are unbelievably powerful, and the Na'vi are running around with fucking bows and arrows. Like
Yep.
they should just be able to holocaust the entire planet by pressing
Yeah,
a
they
button.
should. Well, the
Like-
opening sequence
Yeah,
essentially
it's-
has so in this movie, right, when the humans land their little transport pods on Pandora, they use these reverse thrusters to slow their descent. And the power of these thrusters is so comically evil that it makes like kilometers worth of nothing but fire and brimstone. It completely eradicates everything in this massive like atomic bomb, area of land.
Yeah.
And it destroys all the trees. It's like hellfire. It wipes everything clean, turns it into a parking lot. And that's just how they land these ships now. So instantly they start off by giving us a weapon that isn't even a weapon that can be used to literally kill all of to completely destroy the Na'vi and their entire civilization in just one moment.
Just land on top of them
Yeah,
and you won.
Well, legitimately, the whole film ends if they had landed a few kilometers in a different direction and killed
Pretty
Jake
much.
without him
Yes.
having any opportunity to escape.
If they were off by like a few, like if a few degrees off on
Yeah.
their landing calculation, there'd be no Jake Sully. There'd
Nope.
be no Sky
Naturi.
Natiri or the tribe they start
Well,
out with.
because-
They'd just be
because
gone. They'd be
core
roasted and dead
thrust-
instantly.
The core thrust for like the story is that Quaritch gets brought back as an avatar and he's gonna go fight and kill Jake.
Mhm.
And that's like the sort of core thrust. So like, yeah, if they landed a few kilometers in a different direction, like that would have been the end of the film straight away. But
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like, the problem is like, you can't present me with a scenario where like humans are capable of traveling the cosmos and transplanting human consciousness into alien bodies. You can't tell me that, but then also tell me that they would lose against the Na'vi.
Yeah, they can't deal with bows and
They
arrows.
don't
though.
have drones. In our current world that we live in now, we have drones and nuclear weapons, both of which the Na'vi have no means of doing anything against. But they never
Not even
leverage those
remotely.
technologies in that film because, like, if you were in charge of the human operation, you would just land on the planet, have some nukes, and have them pointed at the spirit trees and be like, if you come near us, like, we're gonna blow those up, and then that's it. That's like the end of the story. There's nothing that could be done. It would be over.
Yeah.
And
is there
or
already-
alternatively,
Oh,
if
go
they
ahead.
had like drones flying up in orbit, because let's assume they don't even have orbital bombardment. You just have some drones that are up in the sky, and it's like, if you like attack our bases, we'll just like blow up the spirit tree, because that's what they were
Yeah,
going to do in the
it's
last
that
film, was
simple.
blow
Yeah.
up the
Yeah.
If
spirit
you fuck
tree.
with us, we'll just destroy you, like by landing, not even by like having to use a weapon. This film's insistence that somehow these more primitive native peoples with bows and arrows have even a chance against not even modern humans, but space-faring humans who have, machine guns and
They have Gundam
mechs
suits.
and essentially Gundam suits and exoskeletons. They have these massive war vehicles, rocket pods, missiles.
Yeah.
They have the ability to deploy satellites. They have infrared and all this stuff that they suppose. It's just their film doesn't even try to convince you that
I
it's
think the film
feasible.
expects
It
you
just
to believe that
shows you
because
that.
the Na'vi have home field advantage and they're big, strong aliens, they're taller, there's
Yeah.
like that's enough. The reality is the technology is going to determine the winner, like for the most part.
Yeah, because
the
they
last film had the thing is the last film actually worked harder Because in the last film, the reason why their sonar and all of their scanning wasn't working was because the Hallelujah Mountains have like a magnetic field that interferes with their equipment. They like had an explanation in that film,
Yeah.
and then of course they had the fact that all of the animals like absolutely overwhelmed them. But that's something that they know now, right? So like they're coming
Yep.
back with a greater force. We see that they have drones in their city that can apparently build like entire structures in 6 days. Like there's just no way that this scenario can be presented as it is with the technology that the humans have at the time. It is unwinnable for the Na'vi, more or less.
Yeah, but they just
Yes.
expect us to believe it's not the case because we have that
It's like-
that time skip. We have the time skip from a year, and then we cut to the train transporter thingy that they raid, and they already have weaponry from the humans. So we just have to assume that somehow they managed to salvage weapons from the humans in that year somewhere, somehow. Also, humans build train tracks everywhere now as well because their
Yeah, well,
little
they're
spider
pretty much
robots are
set up.
so good.
Yep. But apparently they don't have any other robots that can help them out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you get in the point in Factoria where you have construction drones, like the aliens are just irrelevant.
Yeah.
They can't do
Yeah.
anything. You just have laser towers everywhere. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
The-
It's
the-
weird in this movie because they set up things that get used later without realizing what happens before the setup. Like, oh yeah, they have had this in that year. It's like, yeah, but how did that happen? That shouldn't work. I saw you land and everything was dead and gone. Like, I don't know. Like the setups are there, but they don't mean anything because they don't make any sense. If you
Yeah,
know
like,
what I mean.
I feel like if there was just one major change made to the movie where it was basically the same, but in the end they attack and like most of them die and they lose and run away, that could resolve a lot of these issues. But I mean, obviously they don't do that.
The third act is a large part of what's problem with the plotting is the fact that the Na'vi win pretty effortlessly. Because
Pretty
yeah.
effortlessly, yeah.
basically the gist of it is that the whalers, while Quaritch is there, he wants to lure the water tribes out to like attack him by killing the whales because the water tribe has like a deep spiritual connection with the whales. Basically treat them like family. That works. And they get lured out, and because Jake's kids just keep bumping into Quaritch or getting themselves in trouble for like the third time in that film, or I think it was the second time because that happens a bunch again in the third act. Quaritch has got him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill your kids unless you like come out here and you know surrender yourself to me." And while that's happening, Jake's middle son, he befriended a whale earlier in the film. And that whale like comes around and then jumps onto the ship and deals an immense amount of damage to
Yeah.
the ship, and that kicks off the whole battle. And like throughout the battle, we see like very few Na'vi getting taken out. They're just like absolutely obliterating these ships, annihilating the human forces. And then they just sort of up and leave and disappear,
Yeah,
so that Jake
sort
can
of.
have a more
They're-
tense showdown with Quaritch. That like
Well,
the
shall we
water
do-
tribe is there in the battle and disappear. They just leave, like they're not there
Well,
anymore.
Yeah.
I guess we could just spend just a second to give the basic premise of the movie.
Sure.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Humans land. There's Quaritch Mark II in an avatar body. Apparently he was cloned or whatever. He really wants to get Jake. Oh, I'm gonna get him. He really really wants to kill Jake Sully. But the humans land. Oh no, the humans are back. Almost instantly. It'll give you whiplash. There's a war going on now.
Yep.
Jake Sully realizes that they're trying to get to him and his family, so he leaves his tribe in the trees and he goes away and he goes to the water tribe somewhere else on Pandora. And he befriends this new water tribe of Na'vi, and the humans come looking for him, and they've got this whaling fleet that tries to that hunts whales with rockets, so that they can extract brain juice from them. Doesn't even matter. And then this leads to a confrontation where Jake Sully and the Water Clan people have to fight the human whaling boat, and the Na'vi win, and that's the film.
Yeah, basically, in 3 hours, that's like the
Yep.
core of what's achieved.
Pretty much.
So
and the
what's
best
really
I could
interesting.
pull- Yeah, go for it.
What's really interesting about that summary is that you spoke for I think about a minute, but like the first 40 seconds of you talking was like the first 20 minutes of the movie.
yeah.
And then the last minute of you, like the last 30 seconds was like the last 20 minutes of the movie, and then nothing happened in the
Pretty
middle
much.
2
Well, the
hours.
thing is,
They
So you need to
shockingly-
summarize.
Shockingly little happens in this movie. There
so
you could
I
just
guess
cut out almost all of it.
what is worth saying is the more charitable reading of the film is that we're trying to build character during the intervening 2 hours. It's basically Jake and his family living with the Water Tribe. We're trying to figure out like what Jake looks like as a father, what Natiri looks like as a mother, and how each of these kids sort of view themselves and how they connect to broader things in the world. Because like the TLDR is basically that Jake is the dad trying to look after his family. And he's got an older son who's much more like dutiful and just more on top of things, more disciplined. And then the middle son is more reckless. He's more he's kind of an outcast. He's a little bit weird and a little bit unorthodox. And then they have an adoptive daughter who she's like the daughter of Grace Sigourney Weaver in the first film. Like her avatar just had like a kid. Like,
do they ever explain that?
Literally, let's
No,
be
don't.
very clear. Let's be very clear, right?
Yeah.
So Sigourney Weaver's character in the first movie, she has an avatar body.
Yeah.
The avatar body, because there's no Sigourney Weaver anymore, they just have it in a tub. Essentially, it's still in. It's just sitting in a pod.
Yeah.
Right. Just sitting there. Apparently, through immaculate fucking conception, it becomes pregnant and has a daughter.
We have to assume that will be answered. That will be explained.
Yes,
No, we don't. Here's the thing.
I'm assuming it's being explained.
In the next movie,
it's definitely going to be connected to the Awa thing. Like that's clearly what the subplot for that character is meant to be, is that she has some weird connection to Awa. That Grace may well be alive, like in the spirit tree and the consciousness
Pandora
of the planet.
is Palpatine. It orchestrated the magical conception of a child in order to further its own means.
Like goals?
Schemes.
Right.
Yeah.
What's kind of interesting that
someone in chat just says, I thought she was transferred at the end of the first movie. No, it doesn't work
No.
because they're delayed. She dies. So now it's just an empty
Yeah.
avatar body that isn't being used. And that becomes Pregante for some reason. And now the Sigourney Weaver avatar is no more, but now Sigourney Weaver can play that new avatar.
It is probably it's probably implied though that Sigourney Weaver's like spirit is an Awa, because the daughter like converts with her or whatever when she goes into the fucking the sea anemone when she goes down to meet Nemo. She does see Sigourney Weaver, so she's probably an Awa.
And I presume that's going to get resolved later. But it's like all we got.
We get
really
nothing on this now.
Story, just like in this film, is basically she's kind of weird. Oh, she has a connection to Awa.
Yeah,
and she definitely does. And it's like that's what we achieved with that character in this whole movie. It's like, damn. That's not very expeditious in terms of like writing, and it's the same with the son, the middle son, who gets way more time than a lot of other characters. Basically, I think that he exists to like enforce the theme of like outcasts have something to offer. I think that's it. It's kind of like basically what How to Train Your Dragon went for, except How to Train Your Dragon does a lot better.
I gave a shit.
Like it's actually like a whole story that fleshes out a relationship between Toothless. And oh my god, it's Hiccup, right? Wait, what's his name?
I have never seen the movie. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, damn it.
Have any of you guys played No Man's Sky?
No.
Okay, so No Man's Sky is a space game. You fly around in space. And anyway, it's an incredibly like beautiful game, and to a lot of people, like the game is basically just like flying around and seeing cool stuff and like taking screenshots of it and just like looking at the cool stuff that happens with procedural generation. I just realized that that's kind of similar to like Avatar too, because the parts of the movie that are dealing with plot are the parts that I don't like very much. The stuff I like way more is in the middle, where they're just like fucking around in the ocean and just like not much is happening.
I didn't even like
kind
those.
of like No Man's Sky.
Those were like they were pretty for the first 10 minutes, and then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, especially the middle part. That drag. It's like, okay.
Oh my god, yeah. You have like, we're swimming with the whale again sequence. It's like, okay, we're doing this again. You insist. Very well.
It's like, no, actually,
it needed to be shorter, yeah.
We do it again. It's like, it
needed to be significantly shorter.
Yeah. It needed to be shorter.
The random swimming sequences needed to be significantly toned down They are excessive.
They're very excessive.
Well, I think
Absolutely.
something I've been thinking about because of this film is I kind of feel like I think that people can look at like a big stupid battle like the one at game and sort of identify it as kind of like we're not really doing much here. It's just like hollow spectacle. I think people can really readily identify that as hollow spectacle because like that's what it often is, right? Some big dumb action scene that doesn't really achieve much by way of advancing character, which action scenes don't need to do. Like action scenes can build character very, very much so. I mean, look at Arcane. There's so many like action scenes in that show that like are good at reinforcing and building character. I kind of feel like the same way about a lot of the sections in this film where it's just characters swimming around. It's like you are doing something, you're just not doing much, and you're not doing it very quickly. Like oh look, they're getting better at swimming, and they're getting to understand like the water tribe, and oh like look, some of them behave a little bit differently. You know, like this character acts in this way, and this character acts in that way. It's like yeah, but like you're just reinforcing things I already know and understand about these characters, and you're taking a very long time to do it. And the reality is that a lot of what I'm meant to be impressed at in this scene is the technology. It's the spectacle, not really what's happening with the character.
I think that's why I
it's pretty
enjoyed it the first watch around. It was like, oh, this is pretty. I like this. I'm having a good time. Sitting in the cinema, eating my popcorn and stuff. It's good stuff.
I enjoyed the spectacle, sure, but like I guess I wasn't really enjoying what was
I mean,
happening in terms of the
as soon as we
it's
talked
funny.
about it in DMs, I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty lame.
Isn't it more like the atmosphere than the? I mean, there's not much character stuff going on.
There's virtually.
Well, yeah, but I
it's-
guess
It's like the
that's point.
atmosphere
virtually
now is
nothing
like
for
hanging
3
out in
hours.
this world.
It's
Yeah.
3 hours long, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's 3 hours of time to get like not a lot by way of character. It's incredibly thin when it comes to character. Like Jake is a main character and he's like I don't like there's so little for him. In
Jake
fact, it
is
kind of acts
I
in
will
ways that are kind of
protect my
contradictory.
family. That's Jake's I will protect my family. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah,
And
but
I don't even
basically
like
it
him. I
seems
think he's a
like-
kind of a shit character.
Well, so
He's-
I
He's
think
like the
that,
worst
again,
character in the movie. He's like he's like
Second.
fucking angry all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I think
he's just-
if I was again to be super duper charitable to the film, I think that the point that they're trying to make with that character is, see, like he thought that to protect his family, he needed to run away, but that's not true. He needs to protect his family by fighting, and it's like, yep, and that took
No,
you 3
you need
hours.
to run
That
away
took you
again.
3
You need to
hours.
run away again. You need to
Well,
keep
if the
running
plot
away.
is
Run away better.
inspiring on your behalf to win things for you, then you should absolutely fight your enemies.
And that's
They're-
yeah,
they're helpless.
that's the lesson. But,
That's why the
I mean,
message is
in terms of
terrible.
talking about Jake, right? Something that is very much glossed over in the film is he runs away from his tribe in order to. He says it's to protect that tribe, right? Like if he's not with the tribe, then the tribe will be safe, which isn't true. It's not true.
No.
Like
it's-
if they
They're more
encounter
safe, they're
humans,
not
they'll
gonna
be
be
in
safe.
trouble. They're more safe, but they aren't safe. And so he goes to the water tribe, and like the water tribe has a recognition of like, oh, we don't want you to bring like your war here. But then just after like 10 seconds, they're like, nah, you know what? You'll stay and you'll learn our ways. And then later on, when like the whalers start killing the whales, and then they go out to meet them, Jake basically says that they were pursuing him. And then Kate Winslet's character says like, "Oh, you brought them here," and she's like furious at them, and that just like doesn't really get brought up again. Like
No.
that's it as the pay. Well, wait a minute,
so-
Jake. Like, she's right.
so-
You
Yeah,
brought
she's
them here.
absolutely
You
right.
brought the
You
war
did.
to them, and all those villages that got burnt, like Platoon, they have like a scene where they burned down a village. It's just like in
They
Platoon.
even- yeah, it's just
like-
so the humans in this movie they're like comically evil and stupid.
oh yeah.
They have there's essentially no redeeming factors about them. The only good ones are the ones who are raised by the Na'vi. Essentially, humans are bad. Humans are terrible. There's no nuance. There's no discussion here. The humans are just comically evil. They're like these like villains from a children's cartoon. There is no attempt to portray them in any sort of understandable or sympathetic light.
Yeah, I think the only
they're-
only guy we have is that one research guy that goes out with the whalers, right? Who's like,
And
well,
and
but
then
it's
he
like-
dies.
and then he
He
dies.
gets killed with everybody. He gets killed with the rest of them, regardless.
But we don't
Is he the one
even
that gets
see
the
him.
Dory arm chopper.
We don't even see him change. It's just we arrive. He's there. It's like, well, they're
he's a
smarter than
marine
we are,
biologist.
you know. He's like,
He's a marine biologist who
yeah.
shits on people, but who is currently employed to assist in the mass
Genocide of
hunting of
whales.
whales.
yeah. It's
So
bizarre.
yeah, movie that doesn't fucking work.
doesn't work.
I guess something I want to emphasize in terms of on the Jake thing is like that's pretty bad. Like that Jake went and endangered this tribe, like when he was hiding with them, and he didn't make it very clear to them. Like you understand that if you keep me here, like humans may come here and attack this village. Like that he didn't make that crystal clear as like, man, Jake, that's a pretty shitty thing to do. You've endangered this tribe.
Yep.
Like this tribe you danger, but your tribe gets to be all cool and safe. Seems pretty.
Did Jake ride the big dick wyvern over to the? Because I don't think he did.
No,
right? To the reef
he
people.
abandoned the big dragon.
Yeah, he did. It just flies away at the end of one.
Jake is so good at everything. It's kind of lame. He's like awesome at everything that he does. He's like the best at everything, despite the fact that he's only been here. In the first film, he'd only been there 3 months, and he was better at being like a Na'vi than the Na'vi who'd lived there for years.
Yeah.
And then in this film, again, he's super duper awesome in battle. Like he picks up how to fly on the on like the fish hybrid flying thing. Meanwhile, these other people have lived here and done this their whole life, and he's about as good as they are. He might even be better. He's just awesome at everything. And there's an example as well, right? He screwed up majorly, and it's not held against him. The Water Tribe's like, yeah, you're like one of us now. You get to hang out with us. It's like, are you guys not upset about all of the casualties that you can directly attribute to Jake's being here with you? And he didn't tell you any of this.
No.
But it's okay, because like the world bends and contorts to facilitate Jake's every need. Like the fact that isn't it interesting that Jake has like absolutely no perspective on like on the redeeming qualities of humanity, considering that this wonderful life that he's been given is entirely through human technology.
Yeah.
Human
Only
technology.
reason.
Pandora, humans having the ability to transplant human consciousness into a fully able body for him, and using human weapons to defend, and human technology to like defend his new tribe. Like everything that he has in his life that's positive has stemmed from human and technological advancement, and he just doesn't seem to doesn't matter to him. Like it doesn't factor into his assessment at all of like,
Well, he doesn't even ask the question ever. It's like, wait, why did they even come back? Like, what's going on?
Well, that's because the film is too busy. Like I said, they're just at war with each other now, instantly.
Yeah.
The humans land, they destroy half the forest because the humans are bad, and that's it. And now they're fighting. Like they're already dropping bombs on trains. They're already shooting them with arrows and destroying helicopter. There's no attempt at negotiation at any stage. They just
to be fair. I think that's just they blew up the tree, man. The fucking blue people aren't going to have any of this human shit. Like,
the problem is that if you have like
if
you have an existential threat, like at some point you need to start to like reconsider what your options are.
Yeah.
The Na'vi, if that's the case, the Na'vi are the dumbest species in the galaxy. The humans, just by landing, have a weapon that you cannot fight against, you cannot run away from, that will destroy your entire civilization effortlessly. You have to negotiate, or you have to leave. You can't actually fight. Now, the film is one of the reasons I absolutely despise this film, is that the plot of this film is so poorly done that the plot conspires against the humans. The humans don't have a chance.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Even though humans should wipe the floor with a Na'vi, and there should not be a war, there should be an ultimatum that is reached. But if the humans wanted the Na'vi gone, then they'd be gone in like an afternoon. There wouldn't be, it'd be effortless. But the film is insistent that the Na'vi are not only superior to the humans, they're basically effortlessly superior to them. Which makes things like Jake and his, the message about maybe like someone was saying about, you need to stay and fight for your family. Like that's comically naive, considering that it is certain death to defy the humans with their technological advantage.
Except it ain't, because the world sort of bends and buckles to make it so that they can win.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like in terms of laying it out, like again, that final battle, like they get annihilated. It's way worse than the first film, where like the ground forces in the first film get obliterated, and in the sky as well. Even though they've got the banshees and everything, humans are still like wiping the floor with them. It's again in the first film, it's only because of like Awa sending all of the animals that they win.
Yeah,
like that's
a
what makes
lot,
them win.
A lot of animals.
It's
and
they
are not prepared. Like if they come back with more forces, just have some people more in the back that can give fire support. You're done. It's over.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, as well, in the first film, like, Jake only narrowly manages to win through what I would also say is kind of like the film. Like, he jumps onto the big ship, and there's like 4 guys with machine guns, but they're all looking the wrong way, so he manages to take them all out, throws his little bomb, blows up the ship.
Well, here's the
And
other
same
thing.
happens on Quaritch.
When I saw
Sorry.
all their ships fly around, it's like, you have like a huge fucking weak spot with all the propellers. Just chuck stones in those propellers. That would have made much more sense. Like, they have all these flying wyverns and shit. Just get them to drop stones in there, and it's gonna break.
Well,
because that's what I would have expected to happen, because they have to use their advantages. But their advantage seems to be, we can shoot arrows through your windshields.
Through the glass. Except for when they were blowing up the tree and the arrows didn't go through the glass.
Yeah.
Something I was about... the first film, the character that I found the most interesting was Quaritch.
Yeah.
He was like the only character in that film who I felt had dimensions to him.
I was gonna say that I was fucking rooting for the humans when I was watching the first one. Like, the best scene in that movie, my favorite scene in Avatar 1 is when Quaritch sees them in like the bay, and he just yells "mask" and then walks outside and starts shooting while holding his breath. That's fucking awesome.
Something that
so cool.
Muller said to me about it was that, like, in another James Cameron film, Quaritch would have been the protagonist. And like but like the scenario around Avatar basically puts him in a position where he's the villain. And it's like, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
The problem is, then Quaritch is this guy who cares about his people and is really adept.
That's a crime in James Cameron's eyes.
It's just that you present a character who's like a way more interesting and entertaining to watch than someone like Jake. Jake is incredibly dull.
Insanely boring. He fits right into the cast of this movie.
Everything that Jake does is just like very standard and normal, whereas the fact that Quaritch sees like Jake and his buddies trying to escape in the first film, immediately grabs a gun, yells "masks on" so that all of the people in the room know that they need to prepare to be safe, and then opens the door without a mask and just starts shooting at the helicopter to try and stop them, like without any regard for his own safety, holding his breath as he unloads his magazine and grabs his pistol and starts shooting as well.
It's pretty
and
badass.
Then finally accepts the mask when the guy brings it to him. It's like, that's really cool. And then again, at the end of the battle, when his ship gets blown up, he yells about a breach, first off, so that his guys can put their mask on. He opens like the canopy to shoot at Jake, and Jake just manages to throw like a rocket into the propeller to destroy the ship.
Yeah.
And then he jumps into the mech while his arm is still on fire, pats that out, gets everything set up,
so good.
jumps out of the ship and lands on the planet, ready for a fight. And then he fights Jake with like a knife. He's fighting him and he nearly wins, and then he dies. It's like, oh man, again, it's like Quaritch has to fight against the world breaking in order to prevent him from
that's
winning.
why I was rooting for the humans in Avatar 2, for that reason, because I felt sorry for them. I felt bad
I almost
for
did
them.
feel sorry for them, that like with all of this amazing technology, that the plot is just breaking in order to enable.
Yeah, the plot's
their
like,
defeat.
no, they can just shoot arrows through the cockpit.
One of the clearest examples
what
of
they
this,
can
by
do.
the way, is that so Quaritch has a son, which was never brought up in the first film.
No, I guess he
didn't
had some fuckling, and then he impregnated someone. I actually don't know who.
I thought you were
I have no
calling the
idea.
child a fuckling. And I was
I
like,
mean,
well,
that would
I
work
guess
too.
I guess
That would-
it's sort of, yeah. As I carry on,
He's a little
Jesus.
fuckling.
as a child is a fuckling.
Well, so the reason why he wasn't sent back because babies can't get put in cryosleep, so he lived on Pandora and befriended the humans, which, I don't know, man, like, the scientists just letting this human kid run around in this Pandoran jungle seems pretty irresponsible.
Yeah.
Insanely
that's
irresponsible.
It's a dangerous place. Like, Jake nearly died as a fully grown human piloting an avatar body. Like, he nearly died out there. But in any case, like, he's friends with
That's
the
because
humans.
this film really tones down the danger of Pandora.
It does. It
significantly.
hyper-tones it down, because in the first
Pandora's
film,
a
it's
wonderful
incredibly
place.
dangerous. Except it's not. It's actually pretty dangerous and tough to live there.
The Na'vi are they're wonderful, and they live with the nature, and it's great, and that's the idyllic world. It's the ideal way of living.
We'll get to something about that later. That is worth covering. But in any case, yeah, the son gets captured by the humans, and he spends a good amount of the film like with Quaritch. As Quaritch is he's not as good as in this film. He's much more watered down and lame. But he's still like the most interesting character in the film as far as I'm concerned. But in any case, like,
I think the most interesting people I found was just the squad.
I guess the number
I
didn't
2
find
would be
this
the
plot
sun.
interesting.
Not.
It has to be the son because he's
I don't know
got,
who
like,
else
the most,
would.
he's
It's
got
got
the
to be.
most dimensions.
There's no one else that could even like.
yeah, like Nateri was
potentially-
barely even a part of this story, really. I felt like she
Oh well,
had nothing.
she's in super negative territory though as a
Well,
character.
we'll talk about that.
We'll
yeah,
talk
we'll
about
get to
that.
Wait, who?
Because
Who now?
something that happened.
who?
Nateri, Jake's
Oh.
wife.
Jake's wife.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Jake's
she
wife-
was in
dude,
that
fuck
movie
Jake's wife.
sometimes.
Jake's wife is the
Well,
shittiest
so-
character in the movie.
We'll get in any case, the son is like he's on the whaling ship while the attack is happening, and like they've got him kind of restrained, but he breaks free, runs to the control panel, and like messes with the equipment in order to get the propeller at the back to like suck in the flames from an explosion, and then that like blows up the propellers and causes the main ship to get marooned on a rock. And he just is able to do that because the humans that were meant to keep him in custody did a shit job.
Just didn't.
Yeah.
They just didn't. They didn't tie him to something, which is
Yeah.
weird considering that tying the enemy to the ship is regularly used in the plot. But
It is
except for this
regularly used
guy,
in plot, except for him, so that he can do this and destroy the ship. That is a
Yeah.
huge game changer for the battle. It like decisively puts it in favor of the Na'vi, and it's just because they allowed this teenager to do this. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's like stuff like that, you know. It's like it's really lame ways to facilitate like your drama that you, even for the flaws that the first film has, it didn't do it like this. Like the first film isn't written this way. Like,
Yeah.
it's just less stupid. I mean, I guess in terms of keeping on the subject of Quaritch's son, something that the film doesn't seem to realize is that Jake's family treats that guy like shit. Like in the final battle, while all of this crazy stuff is happening, they reach a point where Quaritch essentially has Jake's adoptive daughter, like he's got a knife to her neck, and is like, you know, I'm gonna kill her. And then Nateri grabs Quaritch's son, who I'm not even sure if she knows
who's
that
more
that's
son.
his
It's
son.
more appropriate to call her
but more-
Natiri's son.
More so, yeah, it
Hmm.
is. And she grabs him and like threatens to kill Quaritch's son if he doesn't let her daughter go.
Yeah.
And like she almost does it, and Quaritch actually like breaks and
Well,
doesn't
she
do it,
hurts
lets her
him.
go.
Yeah.
She
Cuts
got
his
scars
chest.
across the
him.
chest.
Yeah, and
And
it's like,
while this was happening, I was
oh
like,
my-
"Oh, is she just gonna go
just
apologize
ripped
to
me
him
off?
in the
Yeah.
end? It's just like a ruse. Like, no, it's not brought up like
no,
at all.
it doesn't seem to be a ruse. It seems to have been on because
She would have
Quaritch
fucking
seems-
cut
his
him open.
They don't
son
address
seems
it.
like, well, the son seems legitimately nervous about it.
Oh, I would
He
be
seems to
too.
like really scared. And so like yeah, that happens. So Quaritch nearly kills that kid, and then as like everything goes crazy, and then they all like, you know, swim up to a rock nearby. Quaritch's son saves Quaritch, saves him, and then goes back to Jake's family. And it's like, dude, they like abandoned you. They didn't know
Yeah.
where you were. They weren't actively looking for you. They just left you like off, and you had to come find your way back. Like,
Yeah.
why would you want to be
Well,
with these guys?
from the get go. Like he's the only one who gets captured in the beginning, and they
Yeah.
don't go looking for him. They just be like, we gotta go leave to somewhere else. It's like, oh,
Yeah, he gets captured and they
Okay.
fuck off. They
just-
leave. They're
just
home
leave.
when he gets captured. Look, their family's terrible.
yeah,
Like,
I
they're
guess,
shit.
it's baffling that like, because when I saw that scene, something I was wondering is this going to be like a theme that they're going for, that like Natiri's, you know, like whatever
Super
positivity
racist.
she had. Well, not that, I guess. It's just that because like her
That
son had
was-
died,
that
she's
was-
going on a
Hang-
punish
hang-
arc.
hang on.
She's gonna get really mad and do some bad things.
She could be
But
like
like,
Catelyn
I don't
Stark.
think so. I think it was just that she was really angry in that moment, and that's it.
Mala
It's
wants.
just bad.
He actually wants to rant about Quaritch.
Oh God.
Oh,
Get
hi,
him out.
Mahler.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, Mahler. What's up?
Oh,
Hey, remember
shit.
Avatar 2, The Way of Water?
I'm trying to be quick here because I'm in the outside world. I was listening, and I imagine you may have covered it at some point, but I'm still very angry at the whole Quaritch situation. And so I want to explain why I wanted to see a little girl get killed. All right?
Yeah.
Fine with this.
Come
I'm
on.
gonna work from the ground up here. I'm gonna try and win a position here from an unfavorable one. So, because you've covered a lot of the scenes, there's one that really pisses me off, right? Where the ship is like falling apart. There's a couple of guys left, and it's like, oh, they've got your two daughters or whatever. Jake, what are we gonna do? And he's like, Jake, you know when I told you I'd kill your son or whoever the fuck if you didn't abide by my rules, and then I totally didn't? Well, this time I'm definitely gonna do it. Do not test my resolve. And I remember watching it and thinking, like,
He specifically
please,
says, do not
actually...
test my resolve. That's not a paraphrase.
And so then he just watches Jake clear out his men one by one by one
Yeah.
by one by one. He just watches it happen. I was begging him to kill the little girl.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, come on,
Oh,
blast
no.
her brains out, dude, please. And what's funny is that you'd be like, oh, wow, that's a little bit dark. It's like, nah, it would have made me respect him. The man that they failed to characterize is a man of like, you serious right now? You're just killing all of these, courageous, loyal soldiers who are doing the job.
I've got a knife to your daughter's throat. And you're doing this? Like, fucking hell!
And I happen
what
to
shit
know
parent are you?
that this is the only way that I will stop you easily. And so what you needed was Jake to be like, I'm hero man, and I'm just gonna kill them all, save my daughters. It'll be great. And he's like slashing through them, beating them all up, and then he just goes, Jake. And you see him in the distance, and he just fucking slashes her throat.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, and just stare at him. Just be like, you did this. So I don't know
I
what.
told you were killing all my dudes.
I told him not to
Absolutely one
set
of
the
those-
alarms off.
James Cameron's supposed to know how stories work. You set the stakes. What is
This
it?
man
what is
wrote
the stake here?
Terminator
It's like,
2,
Yeah.
Aliens.
those children. It's like, oh my god, that's terrible. How are we going to get in? It's like, let's subvert it. Let's pretend to give up. All the usual things you see in movies. But no,
Yeah,
he's like, I'm just going to attack him head on, and it'll work.
Yeah.
not
Okay.
even I'll
Yeah.
attack him head on. I'll just like give him plenty of time as I slink around, killing all of his guys who magically can't hit me.
Which I guess to understand like the nature of what's happening in that scene, the ship is destroyed. It's nighttime because of an eclipse. There's like probably 30, 40 humans on that ship, and a few of his Na'vi like Avatar soldiers. And Jake and Natiri like one by one just kill all of them.
Yeah.
It's not
I don't
even
even know
fast.
It's not even.
It's not fast.
It's just a good
It takes-
10 minutes.
I think it's
It
like a
takes
5
while.
to 10
Just like,
minute
yeah.
scene. Yeah. Yeah.
I think what really annoys me is Quaritch keeps looking around, looking to aim, looking at his hostages, and I was just like, this isn't Quaritch. He would have immediately killed one and been like, you got one left. I can
told you
kill
this
one.
would happen. I told you that this would happen. I told you not to test my resolve. This is just
At the
what I
very
told
least,
you.
Shoot a hand off. Chop it off. Make her scream, Quaritch. What is wrong with you? It used to be interesting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my jaw hit the fucking table when you have the villain who's willing to annihilate his opponents for the victory of the war and stuff, being told, hey, if you kill my daughter, I'll kill my son. It's like, I'm sorry? It's like, yeah, well,
It's really weird when the bad guy actually relents when it looks like Natiri wasn't going to.
Yeah.
It's really awkward.
She slashes and then she goes, huh! Like lifts up the knife as though that's as far as you can go before the bait is no longer a bait. And it breaks him. Yeah, he goes, oh shit, no, stop.
Isn't that awkward?
I couldn't believe it because he barely even knew the kid, but it's enough that he's his blood.
Yeah.
It's it.
I
It's
don't-
like technically because my clone in a human body that I'm based off of had you, then that means that I'm like I feel like I'm a father to you.
I'm responsible for you in some way. And by the way, they didn't explore that shit at all. I assume.
No,
Oh,
I
not
know.
at all.
No.
Which is
also,
bizarre
like, to
with
add
how
on to
long
the
they
Quaritch
spend
thing,
together in the film.
The Quaritch, it is weird that you did not explore meaningfully the angle that Quaritch is like, okay, now I am the people who killed me. I can never go back to Earth. I may well be the chattel of this corporation, forever doomed to be here and do these operations, and I got killed. Like we
Fringy,
get
they have a
very
scene where
little.
he crushes his own
They
skull
do,
in
and I
his
guess that's
hand.
meant to
Yeah.
be-
And
that's
they
meant
do
to be
nothing with it.
They do
Nothing with
absolutely
it.
nothing with
Yeah.
it. And that's
Just to be,
all you get.
for everyone, so Quaritch in this, who's in an avatar body, he comes across the skeleton of the original Quaritch from the first Avatar movie, and he takes the skull and he crushes it in his hand.
Yeah.
And that's just like nothing is done with that.
He
Well,
wants
also
to
keep in
draw some
mind,
level of
there's-
conflict, right? This is a guy who absolutely beloves Earth and wanted to take over Pandora, who is now a Na'vi person. What about if the conflict is, as much as I think humans deserve to win, man, are we inferior, like physiologically or whatever? You don't do anything with it. You don't, like,
There's
oh,
nothing. He
imagine-
doesn't have an
well,
existential
imagine if-
crisis.
Imagine if he comes to the perspective like, imagine if he's like, humans had to work harder than the Na'vi to like get where they are. Humans had to like transcend a lot of the restrictions that they had that the Na'vi don't. Because I guess this might be a worthwhile time to touch on it. I think that the way that they present Pandora as like a planet is incredibly shallow. There's something interesting to be said about Earth and whether there is like a global consciousness with the way that everything on this planet like causes some sort of, like knock-on effect to something else on the planet, the way that animals interact with other animals, the symbiotic and the adversarial relationships that animals have, how like broad weather patterns can create these massive changes in the behavior that's exhibited by a lot of the things that live on this planet. And of course, that human beings as an emergent species, like as a consciousness that is, you know, in a sense, you could be like, oh, well, everything that's alive is kind of like the universe observing itself, and how like humanity is building up a global network that shares information. That in a sense, that's all birthed from like Earth being a living planet. And it's kind of, and that's like an interesting thought to have. In Pandora, it's way more simple. The planet does have a consciousness. It has like neural pathways. The people are connected to that directly, symbiotically, biologically. They can like transfer their memories and like all of their experiences directly into like a data bank that can be accessed by people. And they have direct symbiotic connections with several of the animals on the planet that make those animals subservient to their will. And like that's what's presented. Isn't that way shallower than like what actually exists in reality?
Yes. It's facilitating their writing goals, 100%.
Yeah, pretty much.
People will say like, "Oh, it's allegory for our world." It's like, no, that's pretty much just cheating.
It's not a very good one though, because like for instance, here's an easy example. Let's take the human and the dog. How does the human and the dog relationship emerge? Essentially, it was a place where humans had a benefit that they received from dogs, and the dogs received a benefit from humans. And certain dogs accepted those benefits from humans and then lived with humans, and then gradually over time, almost unknowingly, we ended up in a relationship where humans and dogs have like a really deep connection compared to other animals that exist on this planet. Same goes for cats, same goes for horses. That happened gradually over the course of thousands of years, but we do not have like a direct biological connection to those animals.
No.
It's entirely
Where
like
they
a
become your
behavioral
slaves.
thing. Yeah, where they do exactly what you say and are completely subservient to your will. It's more
No, we're
complicated
cat
than that, but
slaves.
it's interesting, isn't it? Like that's something that comes about. But here it's like, oh, you connect your tail to the banshee, and the banshee is now subservient to your will. It's like, isn't that like, that's not cool? That's not like how it works with a dog, where you have to like build rapport with the dog.
Yeah, you have to train
establish that
it
they're your
and
buddy, and train it to do things for you. And if you don't treat it well, it won't do those things for you.
Yeah.
But they present it
Yes.
way shallower, and I think that on a surface level, you're like, oh, that's so interesting that the planet has a global consciousness. It's like, I think that's the surface level reading. The more thorough reading is, oh, it's kind of like shallow and lame, actually. Like it's like the fact that at the end of the film, Jake is able to connect his tail thing to the spirit tree underwater and just get direct emotions played back to him of like experiences that he had in the past, like direct memories. Unlike what you could say about in our world, where like humans essentially facilitate, like in a sense, when you read a book that was written by somebody 1,000 years ago, you're like almost recanting their experience from 1,000 years ago, the way that they framed it, the experience they're telling you, or like pictures, films, and those are gateways to the past. Ideologies themselves being a connection to the past, and like, you know, information, something that's not tangible being transferred across generations. Here it's like, no, it's actually like memories. People's souls exist in the spirit tree. You can hear
Yeah.
them. They like
Yep.
really exist.
you feel
It's-
like
it's
you just feel like
shallow.
cheating. You feel like it's cheating.
Yeah,
It's like
I think
someone
that was
made
the-
someone made a fantasy world, and they made one of their races in that fantasy world the OC race. That's just the best, you know. This
Yeah,
is my
it's just
OC
like,
race.
oh,
Do
man.
not steal. They're just the better than all the other races. This is the one that you're supposed to
Well,
play as. That I
because
like.
for instance,
Rags,
in terms of
wait.
go for it.
What you're saying is that blue people are Mary Sue's.
You kind of get that
Well, so I
impression.
kind of is.
They feel artificial. They don't
Jake
feel
is
real.
if there was a character to be described as like, I don't like the categories of Mary Sue or Gary Stu. If you're gonna use them though, Jake is like he's a Gary Stu. Like he has to be. He's awesome at everything. He's better than the Na'vi are at their own like specialties. Like he just doesn't like run into trouble, and everybody likes
And
him,
his-
even when he
and
screws them
his-
over.
There's no conflict internally about his humanness
No, there
or anything
isn't.
like
No.
that. If you had not known that he was like essentially a human person in a Na'vi body, you'd never know. There's nothing in the film that just has anything to do with that.
I gotta head out. So the thing I was gonna say, I was mainly here for Quaritch. It's the only thing I liked about Avatar 1 on rewatch, and so they kind of ruined it in a lot of ways. But just as quick as I can, I'm back on the like lack of conflict or lack of ideas and whatever the hell is going on with him. If he had actually seen and understood the benefits of being a Na'vi, or to not exterminate them, or he could have consolidated and doubled down and actually figured out so much about them and incorporated their tactics into the war in this film and actually won. Could have had a second film be the one where the Na'vi get annihilated. Not exactly hard to write that one. But another option as well is, what if he actually did die, quote unquote, at least officially, saved by the kid, comes back to base after a week because he couldn't get back an easy way, and finds there's another Quaritch already that they've already...
Oh, shit.
That would be
about.
interesting.
That would
but
be cool.
That's why we can't put that in Avatar 2. That sounds fucking interesting.
Yeah, or, you know, they
Does he
tell him,
swim?
by the way, that, like, he finds out upon completion, or the takeover of Pandora and Earth is replenished, or whatever the fuck that they say, like, all Avatar warriors as part of this program get terminated. So he knows, like, his victory means his death, sort of thing.
Yeah, this weird kind of like, I don't know, he becomes this weird like Roy Batty parallel something.
It's just give me
some
anything,
identity
please.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, some.
I just want
because
story.
that's the
I
mirror
spent-
between Jake and the villain here, is that they're both having like existential identity crises because they're people who are in the quote unquote sort of like wrong bodies, and there's this culture clash going on, and they maybe take different approaches. Whereas Jake might be like cooperative and nice and, you know, generally good. You have that, you know, parallel, like not parallel, but foiled by Quaritch, who takes a different approach, who's more aggressive and a supremacist in a way.
Yeah, I
Those
would
are
have liked to have
interesting
gone
ideas.
from Avatar to a sequel to make him even more understandable and relatable than he was, instead of pushing him further to cartoon land and lacking any conflict. I feel like the obvious thing to make a lot of fun out of this is to be like, where does he conclude as a character in this full arc in the Avatar series? And it's like, you could eventually turn him into a good guy, quote unquote, or you could make it so that he is the representative of Earth and Earthlings. We deserve a place in this fucking universe. Whether or not he is a human, he will fight for that because it is true, it's honest, and it's right. That sort of thing. Would have been cool.
Yeah.
But oh well, humans are evil. Fuck them.
Evil
Hope we
human.
burn the rest of them. The landing gear could have won the war, but oh well.
Yep.
Also, I'm going to go now. Bye.
No worries.
Goodbye,
Bye.
ya.
Mahler. Mahler doesn't actually have anything to do. He just wants to fucking get out of this conversation about Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Well, now it's on my mind. Let's talk nomenclature. I love it. The Way of Water is
Like
as a
for
name.
film?
You're like Avatar
pretty-
2, The Way
pretty
of
dull.
Water. Pretty dull, and we don't get. Spike Spiegel taught us more about The Way of Water in a 1-minute conversation with some Randy than this entire film worked towards giving us some kind of a meaningful thing on what like that means. Just like, the water connects us all in life and
Rex.
death. It's just like what?
Rex, what are you talking about? They said the title at the end.
Oh shit.
They said it.
They probably said it somewhere. Yeah, but
No, they
there's
definitely
no-
did. It was like really blatant at the end. They're like, "You do, but the way of."
Oh, I
water."
don't doubt it. I just can't remember like a lot of this movie's
Yeah, fair
anything
enough.
really.
So wait, did fucking Spider rescue Quaritch and then fuck off
Yes.
back to the Na'vi?
Yeah, pretty much.
Even
Yeah,
after Nateri
Quaritch-
had tried to kill him, and after the family had abandoned him and didn't go back looking for him to help him, like in that situation, he just showed up, and they're just like, "Oh, you're here, cool," and it's just like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing?"
None of this. Oh, thank God, you're alive. We were worried sick about this. Would be a lie, but you know that you would say face.
Could just
Like,
pretend
oh, you know, we were worried about you. We looked everywhere for you. We thought you drowned. You know, like thank God you're safe. Like no, he's just around now.
Yeah.
I guess. Fine.
And so Gax made a meme. I'm just gonna show it on stream here real quick. Mahler on the phone.
This is pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I mean, we've been all over the place with that movie already. Let's see. Just need to get back onto that VLC boy.
Like I really wish they had not resurrected Quaritch, even though he was my favorite part of the first movie.
Well,
That would've
they
been a-
could have
Well,
done something
the
really cool with
idea-
it, though. That's the thing. The
Yeah.
idea is worthwhile.
A Quaritch clone that is put into an avatar body, maybe because they were planning on getting one to Quaritch, but he died before they could use it, and so they have a
Mhm.
clone of him that they put in their consciousness. Pretty easy sci-fi stuff to arrange. It's just they don't do anything with that. They do nothing with the element of like I was talking about. Any existential questions, culture clashing,
Yeah.
the limits of aggression.
Also, keep in mind, it's a
nothing.
whole squad of people that's been put in in Avatar bodies forever because they died. Like it's this whole old squad now in Avatar body, and none of them, like it's like
They'll just
8
die on
people.
ceremony
I
slinging
think.
from random arrows.
Yeah, they just
And
die,
they don't have any perspectives on anything.
and they all just go like, "Oh, hoorah, Marines!" It's like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
because
guess
none of them go like, "Oh, we're evil.
It's
We're
like,
we're,
oh,
we're
shit.
evil people who
We're-
do very bad things."
Yeah, and they also, all of them get to fly those wyvern. Like they all manage to get one from that rock on top of the floating islands, just off screen. Like Quaritch gets his one. It's like, yeah, and then apparently all the
Definitely.
other ones get one too. It's like, oh, I guess that's pretty easy then. I guess.
You'd think that would be like one of the most incredible things that you could do
Yeah.
as a person in a Navi body. It kind of devalues what Jake did in the first film.
It does.
Because I guess it's not actually that difficult.
Except for catching the giant one, he managed. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Still,
Just let it go as well. Do you think he's gonna get it back in the third one? Because now he's gonna go
who
fight.
knows, maybe.
Oh, Toru
maybe.
Makutu. Oh. Which is actually a pretty cool name. I actually kind of like it.
That's
It's
cool
a
name.
pretty cool
It's
name.
a cool story.
The big orange wyvern was kind of cool. I don't know. I liked Avatar 1 more than I remember liking it. It's not like a super deep film, but
No.
I'd way rather watch that than like fucking Doctor Strange or some shit. Like
Yeah, sure, I would, but like, something that was disappointing when I watched that film was how much like overt exposition there is. Of course, I think the narration was incredibly insecure. It's like they don't trust you to pick up anything, and this film also has it, but they don't even have an in-universe way to contextualize it. It is just Jake Sully's inner monologue, and it just comes in every time to let you know what you're supposed to be thinking about any given scene.
yeah, for sure.
It's really lame, and there's plenty of like that just bad dialogue, expository dialogue, dumping things on us with no explanation that
Yeah.
requires some level of in-universe explanation. Like, oh yeah, no, we've been here for a year and achieved more in that year than 30. It's like, what exactly does that mean? Can you show it to us in any meaningful way? Oh no, okay.
Yeah. How,
Yeah,
There has to
When
be
the-
there has to be something else because like James Cameron has literally $1 billion and a team of like at least 5 primary screenwriters, maybe probably more than that, but at least 5. And this is their idea for a whole movie?
Well,
yeah,
it's a
I
fucking
just don't get
tragedy.
it.
yeah.
It's a tragedy that someone can have this much money and this much passion apparently for something, and it's just nothing but look at the pretty colors. That's it. That's the extent of what this is. 3 hours with this cast of characters and this plot and everything, and there's just nothing to it. It's so empty. It's not even empty. It's just bad. It's terrible. Like it's worse than being empty.
Yeah. Hey, what about Spider being able to fight against that brain melty machine they have that they apparently use to
Multi-machine.
well
Oh,
they capture
the
a spider
X-Men.
and then they put them in this weird, I don't know, clockwork orange machine.
Oh yeah. If they do this thing where if you think
Eh.
one of the technicians says if you even think about it, we'll know where it is.
Yeah.
And apparently they don't know how thoughts work.
No.
So somehow he doesn't give away the information. They put him in a Ludovico style clockwork orange looking thing, and it like scans your thoughts.
Yeah.
But
Closer
through
to the Eternal Sunshine Machine, actually.
through the incredible contrivance of a plot that conspires against certain factions and species in this film, they somehow don't get the information that they want.
Yeah. I'll say, in case you're still not convinced that the humans are just bad, they were willing to just kill that child, that spider teenager, on the spot. It's like, oh, you're not going to give us, we're going to let this machine explode your brain, get wrecked. Like, oh, okay. Then Quaritch, of all people, is like, no, stop, let's do the more personal way. It's like, okay. It's, yeah. Humans evil, in case you didn't realize. They're just evil. And that general they have, I don't even know her name, but she has like a mug of coffee around every time because general stuff. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because Quaritch was drinking coffee occasionally. He was drinking
Right.
coffee when the tree was getting blown up.
But he had interesting things to say for the most part and was a
Well, yeah,
character in
'cause
the
she's
first one.
basically She's meant to be his replacement, but she just doesn't get much time, and she's not very interesting.
I had to remind myself who you were talking about when you said female general.
Oh, yeah, she was on screen like twice, I think. She's the one who...
She might have only been on screen like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
You're right.
she's in the beginning when she shows around Quaritch and his avatar body. It's like, hey, have this expedition. We did more in 1 year than in 30 years before. Because these little spider robots can build things in like 6 days or something. Like a whole building. It's like, oh, damn. You all developed that in like those 16 years, I guess? Actually, no, they must have had it already because it takes like 6 years to get to the planet, right? I don't know. That's what I mean with they quote unquote set up the things, but the things don't make any sense.
And yeah, but swimming. They swim around in a circle and it's pretty.
Oh, okay.
It's very cool how they swim with
Very
the fish.
Cool.
Fishies.
And yeah, the way the thing worked as well, where they put people in avatar bodies. So apparently, the way they explain it, they made a backup before they went to the planet or before they went into this last mission where they all died.
Went into battle. Yeah, 2 hours before they went to battle.
And he basically briefs himself as human Quaritch, with like a vlog basically. Like he does like a little video thingy. And then we have the evil man from the first one. I don't even remember his name.
That's Aldman.
The corporate boss guy. Yeah. So basically, they have like a human USB.
I don't think he has a name.
And they just put in the data in there somehow. That's technology they had 16 years ago already, which is mind-blowing. Like, what a crazy thing to have.
I think that it's kind of a shame because I really actually liked the designs of the human stuff a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's very believable. It gives me StarCraft 2 Terran vibes. I really
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the design of the technology the humans use. Very believable. It all seems to kind of conform with itself. Really, the only outlandish thing that they open with is that the absolutely ridiculous landing explosion stuff that they have. So, apart from that, I'm like really into the human stuff. It's a shame that they're all cartoonishly evil with no redeeming qualities, and the film conspires against them.
Oh, yeah, I just remembered something that I wanted to talk about with the Na'vi and adding to the shallowness of this world. Like the Na'vi, we have a line where the guy in the Water Tribe says that, like, oh, that they were speaking Na'vi, and it's like, oh, so the language is just Na'vi. They're not like any different languages like on Earth where there's
Apparently
like
not.
thousands of them. Well, like, even on the same continent, you may find that there are thousands of different ones, not to mention different dialects within those languages. And then, of course, the fact that, like, every single tribe that has ever been encountered on Pandora is, like, peaceful. There's no infighting or wars between different tribes. Like, no tribe ever disagrees on the way that things ought to operate on this planet. Everybody just gets along, everything's chill, and everything's fine. It's like, I don't know, man, I wish we got, like, more depth to where, like, people didn't get along, and even though... Because even in a world where you do have, like, a spirit tree that you can directly convene with that tells you things, people are still going to disagree with, like, interpretations of that.
Territorial disputes.
Yeah.
Just territorial disputes. Like, I live here. It's like, no, I live here. Fuck you. I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Protect this part. No, Awa said we need to protect this part.
Yeah.
That could be happening. We just don't know because that hasn't been explored very much.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, like, we don't get any of that in the story.
It's not like we didn't have any time.
We had the time. Yeah, we did. And all we got in that time is that all the tribes do get along. Like, all the water tribes cooperate with one another. But we saw that in the last film, right? All of the tribes that they encountered on land came together to cooperate in their battle. And it's like, would they? Would they all? Were there any tribes that said, no, we don't want to fight in your war?
Yeah, we actually made peace with the humans. So, like, we went over there. They agree not to bug us. We're not going to bug them. And things are great.
They can't even tell me that they're all chill with each other because the fucking kids bully each other. They almost
do
killed.
believe
They
it.
almost
That's
killed
just
the
kids.
son.
That's just kids being kids, though. That's not even.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's something that's worth mentioning, by the way, guys. Like there's a fight between the sons of the chieftain, like
Yeah.
the head of the water tribe, and Jake's kids. And then afterward, the middle son's like, "Hey guys, yeah, like, are we cool?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're cool. You want to go fishing? And like, we're gonna go beyond the reef. There's like real cool fish out there."
Yeah,
and they
that's
go
where the
out
men
there,
go.
and then they abandon him, and he nearly gets killed by a Pandoran shark.
Yeah,
I
like, he
assume they're
nearly gets
trying to
killed.
kill him. Like the point
pre-
is to kill him. I thought that's what I
presume that
I
that's
got
not
from
what
that.
they were trying to do, but I don't know what they actually were. They just meant to freak him out, but but they had to have known it was dangerous. That was
Well,
a
yeah.
possibility.
Well,
so,
they
like,
No, they were
made that
trying to. They were
choice
trying to get
anyway.
him killed.
well, they
No, they were
fucked off
clearly trying to get
right
him
after. They're not just waiting
they left
for him
right
to
away.
be saved and like, ha, look how silly
again,
you ran away, you little wuss.
This is perhaps like the most important scene in the film because it enables like the entire final battle, because it's through
Yeah.
this that the outcast whale that he befriends, like, he comes in and saves him right before the shark eats him. So that was super lucky that whale came in to help you right then and there. If he was like a minute later, Jake's son would be dead, and that would totally change the plot. But he saves him, and then they become friends because they're both outcasts. The whale is misunderstood. He's blamed for a crime he didn't commit, basically.
Pretty much,
Like,
yeah.
it's the setup for the Incredible Hulk, the TV show. He's blamed for a crime he didn't commit. As far as the world knows, this whale is dead. The world has to continue to believe that he's dead.
The whale is Andy Dufresne.
The whale is Andy Dufresne. He had to break out of Shawshank. But yeah, so that's basically that enables everything, because the whale that he forms that connection with, he becomes friends with, is the whale that saves the day at the end by destroying the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And
It's a
just
mess
like,
of
what
a
were
plot.
you going for with that scene? Yeah, it's an absolute mess.
The
Considering
plot
that
has
how
very little
plot
that
there is,
happens,
too.
and it's just all
Exactly.
bad.
Yeah, because there's not that much plot. Something something I've said plenty of times on like EFAP and on streams is that I am not a big fan of the piece of writing advice that if it's not essential to the story, it gets cut, because I think that's too. Doesn't tell me anything. What does it mean for something to be essential versus inessential?
Yeah, it's more
And
nuanced
sometimes-
like that. It's just not.
Yeah, because you can have a scene that doesn't directly advance the plot, but builds character in a way that's really meaningful.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I do think that you should try to be expeditious in your writing. What I mean by
Mhm.
that is that I think that good writing tends to achieve multiple things at once, where like one scene achieves more than one thing. Like if the basis for a scene being included in a story is that it advances the plot, you can also build character, you can also reinforce theme, you can establish an aspect of the world building, a conversation can inform us about multiple characters and their perspectives. Like, it's a good idea, I think, I think it's indicative of good writing when you can achieve multiple things at once. Because essentially by doing that, you can achieve more in a story than another story that's of the same length. This would be an example of an incredibly, this story is not expeditious at all. It wastes your time.
This movie felt like watching Wakanda Forever.
How so?
So you have a faction of blue people who spend a lot of time underwater, swimming around, and the pacing is horrifically bad.
Oh, was it
Huge
that
swaths.
specifically that you've got the Telecon thing where it's just where basically the whole point of that scene is, see, the Telecon are just like us. They have like a society that they live in and people are happy and they play games and stuff. And it's like took like 10 minutes to establish that. Like when it's really a basic assumption that when you encounter any people at all that's the case. But yeah. Because I mean, I would say that I don't know. Otherwise, I don't see any comparisons between those two films at all, really.
No.
Well, oh no, it's just in the sense of you have that blue people water element, so that's more of an aesthetic thing, and the massive swaths of the plot that could just be, they just don't serve a purpose and can be cut.
Well, because it's a 3-hour-long movie and it really feels long, but
Yeah.
I feel like I've watched movies that are an hour and a half long that have achieved more.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I definitely have, yeah.
There's something I found weird. So we have this water tribe, right? So they arrive there. It's like, yo, can we chill here? And they're like, I don't know, can you? And then they go back and forth a little bit. It's like, okay, fine, you can live here. But now you have to learn our ways. And the first thing they have to learn is to hold their breath longer. So where I'm getting at is, if you look at the character models of the water people, they are evolutionary very different.
They've got
they
bigger
have
arms.
they have bigger arms
They're
that
Michael Phelps.
They have different
yeah.
tails.
different
yeah,
tails and everything. So
They're just built different.
I would have to-
They
They're
clearly
literally built
evolved, yeah.
different.
I would have to assume that also their lungs have more capacity, so they can be
Absolutely,
underwater
yeah.
longer. But what they show us is like, no, you just need to control your breath before you go underwater, and then you're cool. And I don't believe a second of it.
Well, I believe
Especially,
that,
hang on, they introduce these animal plant thingies where like, hey, just use this. They give you air underwater.
oxygen, yeah.
That's a
So-
really tough sell to me. I can believe a lot, but I don't even know how that's supposed to work.
I don't know how that's supposed to work, but also if you do have that, why the fuck do you need to hold your breath all the time if you have these fuckers
case-
where you can just
in case
go
you
like
don't have one.
bloop, bloop, bloop.
Yeah. Wait. So they always have their like little what are the fish? What kind of fish would you? Anyway,
like
they're fish
jellyfish.
mounts. They have their
Yeah.
lapras. Okay, they've got their lapras.
Oh yeah, right.
Sitting around under their fucking boat,
Hmm.
right? But why wouldn't they? Metal's right. Why wouldn't you just keep the fucking the diving equipment as well? Like keep that with your lapras. That way you don't need to learn how to fucking breathe.
Yeah.
You just take the jellyfish around.
And since the animals are basically subservient to your will anyway and don't
Yeah.
get any choice in the matter, you might as well.
Exactly. Like, I just don't know what the point was in that. It's like, here, do all this breathing stuff. It's like, yeah, but why? You just showed me. Can I just have this animal again?
Yeah, give me the jellyfish.
Yeah, give me one of the jellyfishies. Yeah, it's pretty stupid. Trying to think what else happens in that hour plus segment in the middle, but
Not much plot. It's just.
I mean, we talked about
swimming around.
the bullying children where they almost get killed. The whale appears, it gets taken in. Man, I'm just starting to
there
realize
was a
how
cool-
much dead air there is. Basically,
there was kind of a cool scene before that where the older son was like, "Hey, look at my hands," and he's like making a fist, and then he says like something bitch and punches him in the face. That was pretty cool. That wasn't so bad.
Sort of, yeah. That was a fine. Yeah, that was a thing for a kid to say to another kid if they're kind of fight, sort of.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just another lost sort of plot thing. The idea of how they get into a fight because of their differences or whatever, and then they learn to be friends. Like that would have been so much more. I guess the way they did it was just super lame, Kind of like all of it. Just all the relationships suck in this movie. They're just all shit.
Yeah.
Movie's just ass.
So
Those
yeah,
blue people.
at some point the Quaritch party plus whalers arrive, I guess. But they hang on, before that they kill one of the whales of that tribe,
There's-
which they bonded with.
There's an
quote,
extended
unquote.
sequence, like an entire series of like scenes in this movie
Yeah.
that's just a whaling sequence where it's Quarrick and his blue dudes
Watching
being a
them
part
wail,
of this
essentially.
group
Yeah.
that whale, and they watch the whole whaling process.
You know
and
what
how
I
they get the whale and
you know-
find them, and
You know what I thought when I started thinking about that scene when I was at home? It's like, man, I wish they would have took all that time to explain in great detail how this whaling works.
Well, the thing is,
Anywhere
you
else.
certainly don't need it for like plot or characters or.
Here's the thing.
It's a
In
sequence of
isolation,
spectacle.
I really like they did that. It's like, oh shit, they show us the whole thing how it works. That's actually pretty neat. But then it's just back to being nothing. It's like, yeah, it's cool we've seen that, but it didn't actually do that much for anything.
It's kind of a thing of if you were using your time more efficiently, I would be willing to grant you a sequence like that. Where
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
mostly seeing how the world operates, but the problem is that we you're just not though. Like you're just not achieving much with the time that you have. So it's like,
And they
man,
had 3 hours to achieve things in.
Yeah.
yeah, 3
And it's all
hours,
just
it's-
people fucking around.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of movie I feel that you can get huge amounts of discussion from, because it's mostly just going to be discussions on lost potential and just how generally bad the plot and stuff is. It's not a complex movie. In fact, it just feels infantile. Not a fan at all, and really anyway. I guess we'll get another one in 2 years or so. So that's.
But they're blue.
That
They
is
are
true.
very
They
blue.
were blue, and I did want to fuck them. So I suppose
That
we
was-
really did.
That was one thing I wanted to point out. Why did they make the mermaids so fuckable? It's really distracting.
Oh, I think the swimming ones were way less fuckable than the tree
Okay, well
ones.
you have a bad taste in Navi then.
No, I have a
because
good
those were
taste
some-
because I got
those were
fucked
some
up
fuckable
hands.
blue people.
No,
had these
yeah,
big-
they were
they had these
fuckable,
big
but they weren't
these
nearly
big
as fuckable
supple
as the original.
tails.
They
I don't
weren't.
know
They
about all
weren't
that.
big and supple. They weren't really at all.
They
They were slightly
they're-
different. They're slightly larger than the normal ones,
They
but they were
had-
not thick and supple.
They were absolutely thick and supple. 100%. These are A+ mermaids. Like these are they've got the big Disney fuck me eyes. Chad's dot.
Oh no. Well, I forgot what I wanted to say.
I don't know. The point is, I'd fuck them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And-
That's what
so-
the point was.
Yeah, there's just. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so Quarit's plan is now, hey, we're gonna go hunt them now, but the whaler is like, no, we can't do that. They're gonna get angry if we get those ones
Dude,
because
you know what? That's a pretty crazy coincidence that you're getting onto now, because they're like,
Which
we're gonna
one?
kill the whale to lure them out, and then they kill the whale that is specifically Kate Winslet, the wife of the
yeah,
chieftain.
it could have been any of
that
them,
one.
and we saw there's like a lot of it. So just to circle back, because I don't think I finished actually that sentence.
Whatever.
It's
Sorry, we distracted you by talking about how fuckable the blue people.
that's
were.
fine.
I'm sorry, they're
That's
just really
fine.
fuckable.
I mean, yeah. So I don't know in what kind of if it's once a year and or whatever. Like the whales are going around doing the thing.
Migration, basically.
Yeah, and at some point they come back to the tribe, and everyone has like their own whale thingy where they're really close and stuff, and then they talk to each other, and they're like really cool or whatever, and they're like bonded forever or something, which Jake's middle son has done as well with the outcast whale, right? So they're very important to their tribe. And then the whalers are like, okay, we did your things now, Quaritch. Now we have our schedules to uphold. We need to get some whales. So we need to get out of here so we don't get the tribe whales, because we don't want them to be angry at us and then beat us up or something. And then Quaritch goes and is like, no, we're going to stay right here. We're gonna hunt those whales. And it's like, well, that's going to get them out of there and attack us. And it's like, yeah, I'm betting on that. So they go out, do the whole these whole shenanigans with the whale, and basically they have to shoot one of those tracking devices into them, so they don't lose them. This is what we meant earlier, where like they can't find them unless they shoot the tracking device in them. So
Which is fucking nonsense.
yeah, they have to do like this whole thing where they have to shoot sound wave devices into the water, which is too loud for them, so they have to go up, and then they shoot one of the whales of tracking devices so they can track them, blah, blah, blah. And then you see all this cool technology stuff, which looks really cool, but as we said, the movie didn't earn that sequence, really, because so much wasted time.
Which one?
The one with the technology... still.
The whaling explainer.
Yeah.
And they're like, how to whale 101.
Yeah, it was very detailed, and yet at the same time, I just think that it isn't how that would happen.
Mm. So yeah, they get that whale. This is where they get the whale brain juice that makes you immortal, apparently.
Which they just sort
casually-
of casually drop on you that it means you won't age anymore. It gives you
That's the whole reason
immortality.
that they're
Yeah.
there.
That
That's
is
like the big
You know-
crazy.
You know what would be cool? You know what would
Yes.
be cool is if they just had a fucking battle cruiser with a Yamato cannon just charge up in the sky and then just shoot the fucking whale and it just fucking explodes. That would be fucking
I
hilarious.
want one of the SCVs to go in the rear with the gear.
Yeah.
It's your dime.
So yeah, they get
Fire it up.
get their brain juice
Fire
out,
it up.
which is like one large vial of brain juice, and they throw the rest away. The rest of the body, they just throw away. It's no use, which I also don't believe. I'm pretty sure you can use that stuff.
Absolutely. It's
For-
full of all kinds of just the fact that it's the skeleton you could probably first off, we need to remind ourselves it's really poorly implemented in this movie, so we do have to remind ourselves this is another planet
Yeah.
that humanity has found, and it's not just like a dead planet. It's got this insanely rich ecosystem on it from stem to stern, it seems, and they just don't really treat it like that. It's part of the element of this film I hate about humans just being cartoonishly evil in all ways. The fact that there's this whole sequence showing how they're whaling with like missile pods is
Yeah.
like something out of a fucking Futurama episode. It's
It
a
is.
joke.
Yeah.
The idea that humanity is just so evil and terrible and anti everything means I just can't take it seriously. Like, we came across this entire planet and we just destroyed ours. You think the first thing we do is lay some ground rules on you can't start whaling first thing?
Yeah, it's you tend to forget that this is another planet, not just some random stuff that happens somewhere on Earth, on a fantasy Earth. Like, they make their way here like years with cryo sleep and everything because it's so important, and then it's like, let's just kill off everything. It's like, no.
I disagree with Rags. They want to come to
dare
this
you.
planet and they want to feel like they're at home. Okay, so they're gonna kill off the coral reefs.
Old habits
They're gonna
die
kill off
hard.
the
I
fucking
see a
whale.
whale. I gotta kill it.
Yeah.
I just love whaling.
Not only do we gotta kill it, we gotta fuck it too. We gotta,
Oh,
I gotta
no.
fuck that
let 'em
whale
know
in the
who's
brain
boss.
hole.
Yeah, we gotta kill the fucking whales. Just find ways to make it a worse place for everybody. Because if you make the planet uninhabitable, then the Navi will leave. I mean, it's a big brain fucking roll safe point at head kind of thing, right?
They just immediately build
what
more
if-
cyberpunk cities in there, and it's like, oh, the planet's dying again. Damn it! Yeah, I guess we'll find another one.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like playing Factorio with space exploration. Like, there's just one place we're coming to extract unobtainium and whale brain juice, and then we'll just fuck off to the next place.
Yeah,
Yeah, even though it's probably like 90% of everything involved in this planet is going to be just like, oh shit, we have to explore this new fucking planet
yeah.
that is full of alien life, some of which is sentient and has civilization.
It's
Don't you wanna
great.
kill all the whales? Like fuck off, Jerry. What are you doing?
It's just great. Like they come back the second time now with the mission. It's like, oh, we need to inhabit this planet. We need to get rid of them. And the first thing they do is just absolutely annihilate like hectares of forest and animal wildlife that you need to survive on the planet, probably for air and stuff.
Did you guys ever play Spore?
Oh,
No.
it's too long ago.
I was just imagining in Spore when you're like flying around in a UFO and you see a planet and it's like tribal stage and you're like land on the planet and they fucking beat you. Like, that's basically what happened. Like, what the fuck? They don't even have the internet, dude.
Yeah,
They don't even have
they
the
don't
They
even
don't
have the internet.
They don't have the wheel.
I mean, I guess
They're
they're
fucking dumb.
I guess their stupid tree is like the internet.
That's true. They do have the tree.
Let me send you a tree email real quick.
They don't even have a blue Steve Jobs though. Like, they don't have fucking shit.
I don't have shit. So yeah, they got the brain juice now, and they throw it away, and they're like, hey, let me get rid of these things. Those air cushions, so the whale floats on top, and the whale's like, we gotta get rid of those. And of course, like, no, don't do that. And it's like, hey, but then they definitely know exactly who it was. And it's like, yeah, I know, that was the plan. So yeah, no, they did that. And of course, the stupid kids find that thing, right? That was the whole thing. No, wait. Who
Yeah.
finds who finds the dead whale? No, that's not the children. The first dead whale they just find, and then the wife of the chieftain.
Yeah, the wife of the chieftain finds it, right?
And I think his squad
Yeah, I
or
think
something
so.
finds it, and then she
Yeah,
is there
the
as well. Or
the yeah the
something.
pregnant chick. I just noticed that, but
Yeah. And it's
yeah,
like-
and like something about how the like this one was special, and they like would like tell stories to each other or some bullshit like that.
Well, it's her friend, right?
Yeah, it's her
so that's kind of what I was getting at
spirit
earlier. Is like
thingy,
what
yeah.
it's interesting that the one that they took out was was an important character rather
Yeah.
than just some side character. You know, it could have been any of those people because they all have their own whale. It could have been a guy that we'd never heard of before, but it was hers.
Yeah, they make it like super special because that whale just got a baby whale, and
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
like,
Which is why it was specifically
she-
targeted.
She waited like 17 migrations to actually get that because I don't know why, but that's what happened apparently. And then they're angry and it's like, now they brought the fight to us. Now we need to go to war with these people. And Jacob is like, no, don't do that. They're really dangerous and you're all gonna die, which is bullshit,
Which
as
is-
we know.
Which is like it should be what he's saying in a realistic world. He's like, no, you literally can't fight them. They're
Yeah.
from another. They came across the fucking galaxy or whatever to get here. We don't have a chance. We're gonna have to negotiate, or you're gonna have to move or something. Which
Yeah.
might have been a lot easier to do if I don't know if just the movie's plots were differently and they got along or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think he talks them Jake actually talks them out of attacking them and tells them, hey, just if you find these BPD boop devices that track them, just bring them to me and I'll turn them off or something, which is a horrible idea, by the way. Don't bring those tracking devices into your camp. Like, they're looking for
That
you.
is weird
the
how he
you
just
fucking
did that.
idiot.
I guess it wasn't beeping or something, which is how we know anything. And any if it stops beeping, it doesn't work anymore. That's just
Yeah.
that's the language of storytelling.
But to be fair, that is realistic, because humans do just bring, like, Alexa right into their fucking living room, right? Just fucking upload all of our information.
Alexa despises whales regardless of planet or context.
Alexa does hate whales. Maybe we could ask ChatGPT, what would you do if fucking there was whale brain juice to let you live forever? Would you go kill the whales? Jesus
So yeah,
Christ.
but now the dumbass children have to get caught again because we already did that the one time, so we have to do it a couple of more times now. The middle child is like, I gotta tell Outcast Whale because he's my friend. And not only does Big Brother come with him, no, all of the children, all of Jake's children follow him to the whale, plus the daughter of the chieftain, if I'm not mistaken. So we have these 5 children just go out there, and oh no, what happened? The Outcast Whale already has one of those devices on him, and they need to try to get it out. And
Oh darn!
Quaritch and the other ones are already coming around the corner with their big ass boaty boat, and yeah, they're trying to get out the tracking device. I think they succeed, but it's too late. They're all getting caught again. And again, just before that happens, he calls the dad. It's like, hey, we found Outcast Whale with the BPD boop device. Help. We're dumb. So help us. So they go out there with the whole squad. Like the whole squad of water people. Well, I said the whole squad. It's like 25, maybe 30. It's not that many. And yeah, they have to. Well, they plan to attack the big ship, right? But Quaritch takes.
That seems to be the plan, but unfortunately, again, the kids put themselves in a position where they could be abducted.
Yeah.
They're able to facilitate drama.
Yeah, because when they
to emphasize, this is the second time that this has happened in this story. The first time the kids
exactly.
bumped Quaritch at the old base where they had their final showdown in the first film. Was like, man, the timing of you guys being there in order to facilitate this drama, because that facilitates the human kid getting abducted, and then again going out to hang out with his whale friend, who's the one who was specifically targeted.
Yeah.
It's like, again, that's pretty lucky. Well, no, the justification for that is they tell all the whales, like, hey, go swim elsewhere, because they can do that, but the outcast whale didn't get the message. So they go out to help him, he's been targeted, and so they're there for Quaritch to get them again to facilitate drama.
Plus
it's some real lame writing is what that is.
Yeah, plus the chieftain daughter as well, so now that guy is angry. And
yes, that's right, because they were with him too, yeah.
Yeah, so they ride out with like 20 to 30 fish riders. I don't know. And just call them fish riders.
They are.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we gotta attack. But then Quaritch, as like, I think he takes the communication device they have from the Middle Sun. It's like, hey, Jake, don't you come over here alone or something, and your children live. Like, this is where it starts, where he starts threatening the children. And to his credit, this time he's like, okay, they just want me. I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
So
Jake finally makes the decision to put himself in danger rather than everybody else.
yeah, it's like,
It takes him a while to make this decision, probably longer than it should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does make the correct decision.
And you're like, oh shit, that's a good character move. You should probably have done that a while ago. And he makes his way over there really, really slowly. Like, it looks like he's barely moving when Quaritch is looking at him. But now, the outcast whale is angry. And that fucking...
And good thing for him that the ship has no means of detecting whether there are whales beneath them.
No means at all.
Yeah, that might be like an insane plot problem if this was a specifically whale-designated killing ship. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, that whale takes a leap and jumps on top of the big-ass mother whale ship, whaler ship, whatever you want to call it, and just fucking starts squishing people left and right. And that prompts the rest of the fishermen to all attack. It's like, yeah, now we got him. And that's when the big fight ensues, which, man, I think that takes like 10, 15 minutes or something. It's long. I can't even exactly recall what all happens. Like, the big...
No, you're just sort of like as you just explained the plot, I'm like, yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm just sort of in a daze at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I think the big whale is fighting the small boat where well, not the boss. Yeah, no, it's the boss man who controls the hook rocket thingy.
Yeah, the Australian guy. Yeah.
So
The Australian representation in this movie is pretty accurate. Finally, we get some immersion.
Yeah, and also the researcher guy is on that boat now as well. Like, he's on there with them. I guess he planned to, you know, get the brain juices out if it happens.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, they have like the big fight, and that whale is like outmaneuvering them, and they try to fight back. And at the end, the whale takes the rope, like that steel rope around the hook, and just kind of cycles it around the boat and cuts it in half, which also squishes the boatman's guy's arm. And just,
look, it's a very interesting interpretation on animal behavior.
It is, yeah.
Well, it's just because the animal's intelligent, therefore it will immediately grapple, it will immediately understand spatial concepts for which it never would have had to deal with before, like using one of these types of ropes to wrap it around.
If I was
yeah.
Because if I was a whale-sized whale, I would just flop on it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it worked with the bigger ship really well.
Even if you assume that the whale understands how to use this rope, does the whale know that the rope is so strong that it would give rather than the ship?
Oh, no.
You know, like, it's just kind of silly. And also, like, the whale just avoids, because as the humans try and take it out as it's sitting on top of the big ship, every attempt that they do just causes more damage to themselves. It keeps ricocheting and bouncing off when they miss, and it blows up another ship. Kills more people.
It is a big ask for me to accept that there are animals that are naturally bulletproof, especially to space guns. Like maybe if you showed some big, lumbering, massive, bony plated creature that was shaped right, like okay, I can believe that. But it's a whale, man. Like the idea that it's bulletproof is just it's fucking absurd. Especially if you could shoot a harpoon into it, but you can't fill it full of bullet holes.
They all use ballistic weapons. They have no laser weaponry, as far as we can tell. But it's like, wouldn't you by now, like, potentially have, like, laser weapons? Maybe not plasma, but at the very least.
It'd probably, I mean, like, they might just use really, really good guns, like normal ballistic guns.
Yeah.
They might use, I mean, you know, the advancements are the advancements, but, like, I just assume that's what they'd use. Just really good guns, like space guns.
Yeah, space guns, exactly. But they don't.
No, they don't.
Well, even with the the targets they can use it on, they just fail horribly, so
they can't hit anything.
They can't hit shit. So yeah, because while this is happening, I think the children are just kind of swimming around underground, just trying to hide from these submarine thingies, like the small submarines, right? Because they're trying to catch them again, because that's their target now, even though those are whaling ships or submarines. But I guess they're listening to Quaritch now, and they told them to capture the children, I guess. What else is happening? There's just full out conflict all over the place. The fishermen just killing everyone, basically. Like, I was trying to think. I can't think of anyone getting actually hit from the fish people. I would need to watch it again, but I don't know. It's definitely not a lot of losses, considering it's like 30 of those fish people.
Like 2.
Yeah, it's like 30 of these fish people, and they're swimming straight into these people that have guns and everything, like stationary guns to some degree, as well.
Argue in their favor is when they go underwater, because bullets don't travel well underwater. It's like, well, sure, but in order to attack,
we would be prepared for that. We would have.
It's gonna wait until they come back up.
Depth charges, right? Like
they do.
Presumably.
Yeah, you have depth charges. You have the fact that you'll get shredded the second you're above water. But we'd have like torpedoes and things like that. I mean, it's very clear that money is just not an issue for the human military.
Oh, absolutely.
Like they spare no expense when it comes to their ability to just deal death on massive scales. So,
yeah. So and somewhere in there, Spider is still on that big ship and makes the whole flame thing happen that Fringy already mentioned earlier, because he saw how to. I don't know, move the ship earlier. I think I recall it as a scene where he sees it, and I was immediately like, oh, he's going to use that thing to some degree just to fuck some shit up, and that's exactly what happens. And yeah, basically the whole fleet gets destroyed, including the big ship, and there's like, I don't know, 20 people with guns left on the half-destroyed ship.
Maybe.
It might even be 25. It's a bunch. It's a bunch. So that thing is sinking. It's also getting dark. So somewhere in there, they free the children that are still chained up on the fence. Some of them escape, but then they recapture like half of them again in like a matter of 2 minutes or something. I think the smallest child, even Lampshade, is like, oh, I can't believe I got captured again. Like, yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that is incredible, especially considering who you are specifically. Yeah.
So yeah, now we're back to almost to square one. Like, Quaritch has some of your children again. And this is the whole thing where we already talked about. It's like, hey, don't come here or we kill your children. And then they just attack them. But it's only Natiri and Jake who attack them. I don't know what happened to all the fish tribe people.
They just disappear for that whole, like...
They fucked off.
Third act segment. They're just gone. They just disappeared.
They were doing the same thing their kids were doing. Their kids like drugged them out to fight a fucking big fish and then fucked off, and they did the same thing.
Oh, they totally did. Yeah,
They did, yeah.
It's a tradition. It's a cultural tradition.
It is.
See, it's all in character.
Yeah.
The kid was like, "Hey, Dad, I've got a really good idea. I figured out how to deal with these forest fucks, okay?"
Yeah.
And then as soon as they go towards the boat, we'll just peace out.
Yeah, they're just gone. It's bizarre. They just goodbye. See ya.
See ya.
And yeah, as we already said, they just wipe out all of the people on there. Effortless.
Yeah, the humans don't stand a chance, despite being on the defense, knowing that the other team's coming, and you have automatic, rifles. Because if you shoot an obby once, it'll die. Yeah, they just never get hit. They can't hit anything whatsoever.
But we got Jake with a gun and Neytiri with a bow and 2 arrows. I think it's 2 arrows.
Yeah, and she's just unstoppable.
Yeah, they both are unstoppable. Basically, they just wipe out that whole squad with people. It's fucking nuts.
It's
yeah.
so lame. Like all of the fighting in this is so lame. You never get the sense that the Na'vi have to employ some kind of a tactic or strategy to beat the humans. It's all just like head on head, just bash into them. There's no hiding and slinking around, really. The humans are insanely incompetent in just virtually every way. It's just embarrassing. It's like a 12-year-old wrote this.
Well, it's weird because
as well.
The last fight starts with Jake being like kind of sneaky in the beginning, and then using the rockets on that ship. But then after that, it's just running towards them. Like they started being sneaky and then immediately throw it away. It's fucking dumb. Yeah. Someone in the chat said the Marine trade avatars were such a letdown. Yeah, they hyped them up really crazy. It's like, man, that's a potent combination, I think
someone
Quark
with
says.
Human technology and training who has an avatar's physique on this planet, but they don't do anything.
No, they fare as
nothing comes of that.
Pretty much as well as the other humans, so shame.
Yeah, don't do anything with that. I mean, that's just the movie. They just don't do anything with it. It's just so lame.
Yeah, and you might be thinking it's like, oh, great, so they won. Quaritch is here, and they win, right? It's like, no. We have like 25 minutes left, maybe even half an hour, and man, this is where I was like. For me, it was like 1 a.m. now because I had to go super late because that was the only screenings I had. And I was like, man, I need to fucking take my bicycle back home. It's like -7 degrees Celsius outside. It's fucking freezing. And I was like, man, I could go home now. They just keep going. Because then the whole thing happens with Spider where Neytiri goes fucking ballistic and almost kills Spider. And she would have done it.
That's so fucking bizarre. I just can't get over that. The fact that she leveraged the life of like her son and friend against one of her other. It's hard to describe like what that is.
Essentially, in order to win, you are banking on you being more ruthless than the villain.
Yeah, you have to be more willing to kill your son.
Yeah, your
enemy is willing to kill
or at least the friend of your children. Then yeah, the enemy is to kill your child. It's like that's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it's like I thought that they were going to do something with that with Neytiri, but I don't think they were. I think that was just like she was really angry in that moment, and that's it. I thought they might be trying to build something of like the cost of war on the goodness of certain people.
We never mentioned the big brother dies.
Oh yeah, he dies. That's right, and they blame the middle kid for that, which is ridiculous. It's not his fault.
By the way, Mahler can confirm this, but I absolutely called that the older brother would die. I thought it was super obvious the older brother was going to die.
The middle son, like he was clearly
that makes sense.
He was clearly the important character. He got way more scenes. The older son was just the straightforward, like very competent guy.
Yeah, we never got anything with him until you knew it was his time to die in a moment. So
yep.
So let me pitch an alternative plot really quick and see what you guys think about this.
It's better.
I've just been thinking about it is. So okay, we're back at the beginning of Avatar 2, right? and the humans have all fucked off, and the Na'vi are doing whatever. The people that were left with the Na'vi are the scientists. So what if the scientists start developing a reverse avatar program where they allow avatars to get into human bodies? Because they know eventually the humans will come back, and they're going to have to do diplomacy with them at some point, right? So they have like basically the reverse thing where they're growing humans in tanks to try and like talk to the humans or take off in spaceships to go talk to the humans or whatever. And then like obviously the humans are going to come back to the fucking planet, right? And they have their own avatar things. So then the conflict becomes sort of like a diplomacy sort of conflict where the humans in avatar bodies are trying to like communicate with Awa and shit and trying to understand that, while the Na'vi people in human bodies are trying to like infiltrate the human base and get at the human technology and shit. And then both of them understand that there's like they both have sort of like secret weapons. Like the humans investigating the Na'vi Awa stuff, they keep getting hints of like a power they're trying to like get a hold of, right? And the humans that are the Na'vi in human bodies that are infiltrating the human settlement realize they have some much better weapon thing that's gonna come, and they don't know exactly what it is. But eventually they find out there's this big fucking robot, this big fuck off robot the humans are gonna come bring down. And then the humans in the Na'vi bodies figure out that actually this thing that they think is a mountain is a big fucking creature they can control through Awa. And the humans control the big fucking mountain, and the Na'vi control the big fucking robot.
Let's
and
go!
They do a fucking kaiju fight. Wouldn't that be so much better? I was just sitting around thinking about this. Like, what could you do to make this better? Isn't that like way fucking better than what we actually got? That seems so fucking cool. I don't know. There's like so much shit you could do, and instead they just like sat around in the water. I don't know.
Yeah, most of this film, they just sort of swam with the whales, and that was just sort of it.
Yeah, instead of dancing with the wolves, they're swimming with the whales.
It's sad.
Sad. So yeah. So Quaritch is like, I'm gonna hunt you forever, Jake Sully. I'm not gonna stop. So how about we finish this once and for all right here now? And Jake's like, oh man, I was hoping you're gonna say that. I think that's actually what he says, one for one, and they start fist fighting.
Something like that.
It's and
it's pretty close to that. Yeah, it's basically like, oh yeah, let's go then, bro.
Yeah.
And so they have a fight. And of course Jake wins.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like interesting. Like none of it's interesting.
They just
none
fight.
Of it was good.
While they fight, the whole ship is just kind of flipping over because it's sinking now. And then the smallest child gets trapped together with Neytiri, and they're running out of air. And then Sigourney Weaver child uses her Awa powers, I think, to find these two, and they make their way there. And it's like, here, I have one of these oxygen things, but I only brought one. So you can use that because the small child already learned the breathing thing, so she's fine.
Yeah, it's hard to get me to feel too much tension for they might drown. If you sort of imply that they could hold their breath for a week earlier in the film.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Which the weird thing is, the children learned how to do the breathing, but apparently Neytiri and Jake didn't bother doing that.
They were too busy doing something. I don't know. Fuck it.
Which is weird because Jake uses the fish thing pretty well. Are they implying because he did like the whole fisticuffs he couldn't do? No, wait, he teaches him how to do the breathing thing while they're running out of air, right? So that means he didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, it's like you could summon air from nowhere, almost. Like, yeah, you might be essentially drowning, but let me gesture towards you underwater, and you can not be drowning anymore.
Yeah.
Because drowning is just a fucking state of mind.
I thought there was like magical fish involved.
No, that was for Neytiri and the smallest child. The middle child and Jake have their own little thing going on. They're like separated. Yeah, somewhere in there, Spider is here as well. Like he's just hanging out with them now because I don't know, he likes them still for some reason. And they start searching for everyone, but Spider finds Quaritch, who got choked out underwater while already don't having a lot of air anyway. And then it also takes a long time and Spider tries to save him and succeeds somehow, even though he was underwater for a long time and was already implied he choked to death. So he should be very dead in his avatar body, but he's still kind of twitching on the ground of the water or of the boat or something, and just kind of carries him out there, and he lives. It's just one of those
This
things.
film plays fast and loose with like the concept of like having lungs and air and stuff.
Yeah, it's like this. Oh, when you're unconscious, you don't use any air.
Yeah,
Like,
you're on
so-
pause. Yeah,
Something-
if you're
yeah, there's
unconscious,
things
it's
that-
just like Galadriel.
yeah,
I guess
exactly.
I find that confusing because I know that Kate Winslet apparently broke like a world record for holding her breath as part of like the actors learning how to do like the
Really?
free diving for the film.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think she
Wait.
held her breath for like over 7 minutes.
That's actually pretty
Damn!
cool. Damn,
That's insane.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So like, well, yeah. So like, this is why
It's
I
more
find the film
interesting
so
than the
fascinating,
film.
that, like everybody is working so hard in service of a story that just is like not interesting at all.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just that I find it interesting that maybe there's something I don't know about like being underwater that enables somebody who is seemingly knocked out to be sort of gagging underwater and still survive for like another minute and a half. I guess getting brought up to the surface. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So yeah, they're just kind of swimming around probably for like another 10 minutes trying to find everyone, teaching them how to breathe. So Spider's getting Quaritch out. Neytiri and Small Child are getting let out by Kiri, I think was her name. And yeah, Jake and Middle Child are learning to breathe, or Middle Child is teaching Jake how to do the breathing. And he almost drowns, but then Whale is back and just pushes them up the last of the things, and that's where they all gather together. Yeah, Spider just chugs Quaritch to the side. It's like, fuck you, and then he leaves. So yeah, Quaritch is still alive. Hooray!
Because they wanted him for more movies.
Yes,
That's simple.
pretty
They had
much.
a confrontation out of which only one character should have survived, so they needed to contrive a situation that enables him to live so that they can do more stories with him.
Yeah. And then they all just kind of come back together. Spider as well, but they don't really give a shit. I think Jake asks him if he's fine once, and then they just forget about him again. I don't know.
They just, yeah.
It's
The amount
it's
of
such
regard
a.
for his welfare is insane how little they have.
I don't know if we portrayed it well. It's just really their dynamic is really fucking bizarre. Like in the beginning of the movie, they talk about him as a stray cat. Like he's not part of the family, but he's always around. I think that's what they say, something along those lines. So even though it's so dumb because Jake's children are like pretty close with Spider, like they're like homies, right? They
They're
just hang out.
essentially like
They're like brothers. Like
they're pretty much.
Yeah. But like Jake and Neytiri, they didn't give a fuck about Spider, even though Jake should
Doesn't
have.
seem like they did.
Jake should have.
He should have treated him like a son.
Yeah,
and
because-
Neytiri should have treated him like a son.
Even more than he should be all for him because he's human and Jake was human as well, so he should have a lot of sympathy for Spider. But he just fucks off of the tribe. He just gives some randy other guys like, "You're the leader now. Goodbye." Yeah, you don't give a shit about Spider, and it's really bizarre. Yeah, and that's that. They go back to the Water Tribe who abandoned them, so I don't even know why they want to go back there.
but now it's all good. They're buddies. They're bros.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're gonna go somewhere else now. We don't want to endanger you, water people. It's like, no, you're one of us now. You can stay here. And then we get another burial scene thingy, but this time underwater, where they put Middle Child's body back to the
No, the
Older
oldest
child.
one.
Oldest.
the oldest one. Sorry, yeah, the oldest one. To the underwater tree, Awa tree, Oh yeah, it's like the whole monologue again, where he says, "Oh, that's sad that you only borrow the
Yeah,
energy
where he
and you have
explains
to
the theme.
give it
Yeah.
back again, like the same as in the first one." I think that's exactly how the first one ended as well.
Well, it's trying to make some sort of point, right? That's like the way of water, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if you want to be more broad, like the nature of existence itself, right? You exist, but then when you die, you basically just like return to the universe. Usually it's return to Earth, but yeah, like the energy back to the universe. And they have something where it's like a sun for a sun, that there was the trade there with Quaritch, essentially. That because he took their sun, they took his, I guess.
Yeah.
It's meant to be some sort of theme that's being reinforced, but like if that is what they were going for, it was not really built up very well.
No, really wasn't. Yeah, and I think the ending shot is just Jake's like, nah, I realized I have to fight now. So I guess we have like
well, that's our sequel bait for the
Oh,
third
yeah,
film, because
absolutely.
we're clearly directly connected. This is an incomplete story in a lot of ways. There's like a lot of plot threads that are unresolved, which is funny considering how few that there are.
Yeah, the few ones that
Please.
could be interesting with Kiri being like AWA.
Oh, that one
thingy.
is particularly like that one is nowhere near resolved.
It's
Like,
not
I feel
even.
like
It's
we've
barely
built up the
started.
surface.
They just
Yeah.
chill out in the in the water tribe, as like, hey, she's doing some crazy shit with all these things. But yeah, that's it. That's basically, she does crazy things and just connects with things. She even uses her I guess you could call her call it powers, right?
Oh yeah, she actively like gets the world to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of those submarines.
Coral reefs, the like anemones, like grab a dude and rip
By
them
the
up.
way, no, to think about that. Those people were about to get out of there and save themselves, and she just fucking crushes both of them.
Well, I kind of had the same feeling as well when I saw that there were some boats to like evacuate people off of the ship, and I was kind of wondering, like, oh yeah, are they gonna let them do that, or are they gonna kill them as they flee? Like, I was kind of wondering about, like, in terms of the way that because I mean they take no prisoners, clearly.
Yeah, no,
in
they
these
just
battles.
fuck everyone up and kill them. It's yeah, it was kind of weird.
But yeah, you're right. By the end, Jake has a revelation. Yeah, I need to fight. There's nothing about. I wonder why the humans are back. Like, what they're up to. Is it all like totally?
You know what?
Like, what's happening on Earth? I wonder what's going on there.
I want Jake to go back to the Wood Tribe, to the Forest Tribe, I mean, and they just annihilate it.
Well,
Yeah,
I
there's
realized
no-
that him leaving just meant that they didn't have a leader,
Yeah.
effective leader to guide them, and they got screwed. They got destroyed.
You'd be forgiven for thinking that this was the second in an installment.
Yeah.
There's no sense that Jake wants to avoid, death and all that sort of stuff. Like a lot of people die on both sides. War is the last option. We need to not do this. Like both sides should have learned by now that this is not ideal, and you want to
Yeah.
avoid this. But they just don't.
Yeah. Oh shit! Someone in chat just pointed out. Where would Spider get Air Force mask at the end now? Definitely not from the Ocean Tribe.
Yeah,
That's a good
right.
point.
There's no humans with him, so yeah, he's gonna run out of air eventually.
I guess it's just one of those. As long as he's got it, he's got it. It's some
Well, like it
conversion
filters
of
the air more so than it has oxygen in it.
Well,
Yeah,
also I guess
and-
I think
because it has like a pack that you wear on the hip or something like that.
Yeah.
also I think
So
they have
I'm not gonna buy it.
I think they
It's just
can
if it breaks.
they can contact Norm and the other science people. I think
That's true. Yeah.
so. I guess they can get him back. That's definitely well. I guess that's faster than with the Wyvern. I assume. I don't know. Oh man. So yeah,
that's
that's
Avatar 2: The Way of Water.
yeah. We went all over the place with it, but we got there eventually.
Fine, this discussion was better paced than the film.
It was.
That's not saying
All
much.
kinds of twists and surprises, like more people than expected. A long man came around and ranted a bit. It's crazy. Much more entertaining. Even though I won't take back that I enjoyed it the first time around, of course, because I did. But I will never watch it again. I don't want to watch it ever again because it's just nothing to gain.
Well, that's kind of what I realized. Like there is stuff I liked about it. Like I said, I would still take it over Marvel, but like when I thought about it the next day, I was like, I would rather watch Avatar 1 for a fourth time than this one a second time. And that's not a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I'd rather watch Avatar 1 as well. Yeah, I think I would. Well, I mean, like I said, I think it's better. I think the first film's better than this one. It's just it suffers from a lot of the same problems, but it also just has more on top of them. Like it's more poorly plotted. It wastes a lot more time. I feel like it even has less to say than the first film in a lot of ways. It's just like a more deficient version of the first film, which itself is already like not great. So pretty lame.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point it's like, yeah, man, the films that James Cameron made that I really liked, like they're over 20 years old. A lot of them are over 30 years old. You know, like, yeah. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't understand the passion that he has for this story. I don't get it.
I think, yeah, like I joke sort of, but about it being just like a fetish thing, but like you get that vibe because there's no characters or story here to speak of really. It's so infantilized in terms of its messaging and its theme and all that stuff. But man, they look really great. All those blue people, they sure do look great.
Mm-hmm.
What a shame that this is the guy who brought us, two of the best films ever made.
Yeah, legitimately. Yeah, I just don't know. It does kind of suck, right? Because it feels like a lot of talent. Well, it doesn't feel like it. It definitely is the case. A lot of talented people worked on this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in service of a story that's just not all that valuable. Personally, I don't know. I just find it to be like really shallow and simple, and even then, it's kind of dumb.
Pretty much.
And I think it will be the same as like the first film, in that it doesn't have much of a cultural footprint. I don't know that it will have that much staying power.
I don't
It may
think so
well end
either.
up
Because like,
making a
what do you
shit ton of
say?
money. Well, yeah, what's to be said about it, really? Like, how many people are going to be talking about the riveting arc of Jake's middle child? Like, and how that was really
Yeah.
interesting. I think it's
Whose
just
name
a
that
film
we just
where-
don't know. I just don't know his name.
Well, I mean, it's like a lot of people memed with the first film, like, name one character. Like, a lot of people couldn't do it. They actually can't do it. And I feel like give it a year and it'll be the same for this. Give it 3 months. Like, I'm curious.
like
Yeah,
I
don't
gotta
know,
be
just
real.
forget.
When I saw it the first time, I didn't know which of his kids died. Couldn't tell.
That's not good.
It's not a good sign. It's like the story they had with the Game of Thrones pilot originally, where they had like other people in Hollywood like watch it and they couldn't tell the characters apart. And they're like, oh, that's not a good sign. It's like, but here we are, $1 billion later and 13 years into this project, we have the same problem.
Because he wrote the treatment for Avatar in 1994. And then Avatar came out in 2009. Like, over 10 years after Titanic, when up until Titanic, he was making a movie every 3 years, more or less.
Damn.
He was very productive back then, making a lot of great films. Because even Titanic was only 3 years removed from True Lies, and then it's like, yep, many years for this film, and then many years. But now we're gonna get more of them, right? Because Avatar 3 is coming out in 2 years, because they were shot back to back.
Yeah, I
But
think I
as for
saw.
whether there'll be another one.
I think
Another-
I think he said himself, like he said, let's be honest, if the third one doesn't make any money, there's probably not going to be a fourth and fifth one. That's just how it's going to be.
The difficulty is that Avatar will make money, but it needs to make a lot of money.
It needs to
film
make
cost
a
like
l-
I think it needs to cost it. I think there's an article that said it needs to be the third or fourth best-selling movie of all time.
Yeah, because it costs $400 million thereabouts to make, so it's one of the most expensive films ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus marketing, and then plus the fact that your total box office gross is not the amount of money that the film makes because of splits and everything
Yeah.
for cinemas and whatnot. So there's it needs to make a lot of money, and thus far, after its opening weekend, it's made about 440 million worldwide, which is like pretty good. I don't know if it's good enough though. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fine.
Oh, I don't know actually, because it says it's the third largest opening like since COVID. It's the 11th biggest opening of all time, which means that it is it above or below the first film? Oh, okay, so it looks like it's above the first film. Oh, is it? Huh. Yeah, no, it's above the first film. Okay.
People,
Interesting.
I kept seeing news organizations call this a flop, and it was like it opened to $440 million.
Well,
Like,
but people are saying that it was below the expectations. That it was that there was an S. Let's see. Come on, Wikipedia. Give me.
it can be
gimme.
below expectations and still make plenty of money to keep making.
Well, sure, but
movies.
again, it's not only a matter of like that it makes it needs to make a lot of money. That's a big thing
like,
for them.
Like as an example, right? Like the Force Awakens was the first of the new Star Wars trilogy, right? And it made like a galactic fuck ton of money.
Yeah, it
and
made
then,
$2
like,
billion.
Yeah, and then like TFA by comparison was like a massive disappointment.
Wait, what are you
but it was
talking
still
about? Wait, are you mixing
the
them up
second one.
or? Oh no,
Oh,
The Last
TLJ,
Jedi,
TLJ.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
TLJ
made
was
less
like a big
money.
disappointment compared, but it still made plenty.
Well, sure,
like,
but like that's not
yeah.
that's not the kind of decisions that these studios need to. Opportunity cost is so important. Like if you're spending, because if you spend $400 million on a film and you could have made like 4 films that collectively ended up making more money overall, like you made not a great investment. That's like the nature of these decisions. If they're spending $400 million, well, it's not even a. That's just like true. That's,
Well, no. Well,
that's how
the thing
it
is,
works. Like,
well, the thing is, you're implying, well, instead of making a $400 million film, you could make 4 $100 million films, but those don't really exist anymore because of the nature of the market. They need to make
no, those movies still
they need
exist.
to make giga blockbusters, basically.
Nah, not necessarily. I mean, there are still like, there's definitely less films that cost that much, but it's like the reason why Bloomhouse is so successful. It's not because any one of their films was like the highest grossing film at the box office. It's that those films cost like $5 million, and a lot of the time they make like at least 50 million, and some of them make like 300 million. And so like that's the reason why that guy has like 10 movies a year and is like probably makes a shit ton of money as a producer. Is because like his films are like a low investment with a high return. This is a film that has a high investment and thus consequently has an expected very, very, very high return. And if it doesn't hit that, even if it makes a lot of money, they still may be disincentivized from making more of them. It's kind of like the nature of it's just that's like a big part of the decision making. Because I'm just looking like, yeah, the film is like the 11th highest biggest opening of all time. It beat out Avatar's original opening by twice as much, but it was below expectations. It was expected to have an opening weekend of 145 to 179 million, and it's lower than that.
Damn.
134 million. And then, of course, what happens next week? What is the drop-off? Like, if it drops off big time next week, the third film happens no matter what, but I don't think 4 or 5 are guaranteed at all.
No.
Like, I could easily see those not coming about.
Well, it depends because, like, one of the really abnormal things about James Cameron's movies is they often have a much longer shelf life in theaters than most movies do. Like, Titanic was running in theaters for like a fucking year, and like Avatar 1 was in theaters for a long fucking time.
That's true.
Like, they could keep it in theaters until March.
About this that says James Cameron, like, really?
Well, I don't know if I think the most important part is we're in a different climate now. Like those two films came out a long time ago. Like Titanic came out in 1997, and we're in an era now where like a lot of films actually have a very short shelf life where they're not playing for months. Where like the film is playing and then it drops off like big time. Even these big budget films, because like I think Endgame was in cinemas for like what, like probably 2 or 3 months, and then it, you know, as much as it made. I don't know. I could see this film being on for like 3 months, but like I don't know. Like if you were to ask me if I thought this film was going to make more money than the first one, I'd say no. I don't think that's going to happen. As for like where it actually ends up, I'm not sure. It's almost certainly going to make more than $1 billion. But I guess a more interesting question is, do I think it would beat out like Top Gun? I don't know. I don't know if it beats Top Gun this year.
By the way, you guys have any takes on? Did anybody see Top Gun?
I still haven't. I still haven't.
Oh, do you want to know what I think about it?
Yeah.
I like it. I think the third act is weak.
Wait, you like it, but you don't like the third act?
I think that the third act is the weakest part of the film. Yeah.
I walked out of it after 20 minutes.
Oh,
I couldn't believe how boring it was.
I didn't find that
so
film boring at all. I don't find that film boring. In fact, I would say that's like not a problem with that film at all. If anything, the problem that it has with the third act is that it gets a bit ridiculous in terms of the things that are happening. To the point where it's like, we're getting a bit silly now. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I'd say that the film is not very like narratively ambitious. That's for sure. It's like pretty straightforward, but I think that it's hitting the beats pretty well. That's what I would say.
My description was it felt like it was written by an AI. Like
nah,
literally,
think
if I typed in as a prompt like write an opening sequence with aircraft carriers for a Top Gun movie, you would get the opening sequence.
I think
There's
that they
not a
made-
single creative shot.
No, the
Just
problem
like
is
the-
that you didn't watch the whole film, so like, because there's like a particular moment in the film that I really like where they made a choice for delivering information that was like pretty inspired. I was pretty happy with it. And it's like those sorts of moments where it like just tells me that the film is, you know, like, oh yeah, like you're trying. Like I said, I think that if there's one thing that somebody could say about the film that would not be like that would be totally agreeable is that it's not very ambitious. It's like a pretty straightforward story. It hits very standard beats of like characters and their arcs and, you know, forming friendships and working together. Like it's pretty straightforward in that regard, but I think it hits those beats fairly well. The problem is you've only watched 20 minutes, so like we can't really talk about the film.
I mean, we can't. I don't.
I didn't see
anything of merit.
Ever.
I love walking.
You didn't see anything of merit at all. Like
I saw
of
nothing
the
of merit.
filmmaking.
I saw
You can't
nothing
say
of
that.
merit.
How could you possibly say
Oh,
that?
no.
Was there? Did you not see anything of merit in the simple fact of how they shot the scenes in the jets?
Yeah, it wasn't interesting.
Really?
The scene in the jet at the beginning is not interesting. It's
Well, the
like,
problem is that you walked out of the movie before you got to see all the dog fights.
oh
and
my
everything.
god, a hype action scene, number goes up, number goes a little bit more up, then the fucking plane, like nothing happens. It's not interesting.
Well, dude, that's like why would you say that? Like, the problem is that you can't say that because that's like the whole, like, that's like setting up the foreshadowing of like the whole plot of the movie, or at least like not the plot rather, but like one of the sort of core thrusts for like Maverick. And actually, no, you know, it actually ties into a theme of that film. No, it does. But
Chad is confused. Are you both talking? Are you both talking about Maverick?
We're talking about Maverick. We're not talking about
Maverick,
right? Yeah.
Why would I go why would I go see a movie? Talk about walking out of a movie 20 years ago, right? Whenever the fuck Top. Wait, wasn't that the 70s? When was Top Gun 1? Was it in the 80s?
40 years ago. About 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But I guess.
Wait, how old is Tom Cruise? Wait, what the fuck?
He's like 60 now, I think. I think he's over
Jesus
60, isn't he?
And he's a fucking Chad, dude. Did you see the tweet?
The trailer today, yeah.
Dude, it was so good.
But I saw they posted a video today where it was them filming a stunt for Dead Reckoning, where he like rides off a ramp on a motorcycle, jumps off and parachutes.
That guy is crazy, man. That guy is fucking nuts.
Well, if there's one thing that is to be said about Tom Cruise is that he goes above and beyond to try and like deliver spectacles in his films.
I couldn't believe how chill he was with just jumping out of a plane and just I'm
doing his own stunts.
He's not so much crazy shit at this point.
I'm running out of altitude, so yeah, just want to say thank you. It's like, dude, you're just falling. Free fall is insane. What a crazy man.
But
Tom Whale Juice Cruise.
In terms of talking about Top Gun, like, I don't know, man. If you walked out of those first 20 minutes, like, you just missed like most of the film. I'm not even sure what we can talk about really about that movie.
I mean, I don't know that we could talk about anything, but like I've never.
Because you walked out in the first 20 minutes.
I can remember one time I've turned off. Literally thousands of films in the first 20 minutes, literally thousands. And constantly people will say, oh no, you need to go back and rewatch that. Oh, you know, and I have over 100 times. One time in my entire life did I actually regret turning it off. Only one time have I gone back and rewatched a movie and I was like, oh, that was actually pretty good. Like
so
it's.
I think the difference in the way that I would like to approach stuff when it comes to like watching a film is not a long enough time commitment for me that I think that there's ever really much of a good reason for me to just like disengage compared to like a TV show. Like if a TV show doesn't grab me after a certain amount of time, I could be tempted to be like, man, this is like a long time to spend on this. Like if it's not going to be entertaining, it might be worthwhile to bail. But if a movie is going to be at most like 4 hours at most, and rarely it is, I just don't think that there's often like a motivation for me to be like, you know what, I don't want to watch this. Like usually I'll just follow through.
Chad is having a moment. Okay, so you want a media analysis argument chat? The things that make a movie good are very, very, very interconnected. Like exactly what Fringy was talking about earlier. Scenes need to be accomplishing a lot at the same time. The quality of a movie is not concentrated at the fucking end, right? If you turn on a great film, if you turn on No Country for Old Men for the first time, you can tell it's a really good film immediately. You always can. The way the choices are
the amount of coke
made.
going on in Metal's
So-
Forge today is
so-
interesting.
Something I would say, but then I've had the opposite though. Like if you were to watch the first 10 minutes of Up, I think you get a totally incorrect like characterization of the way that whole film is going to be.
Well,
films
you do, but
change over
hold
the course
on.
of them.
I'm not saying they're going to have the same tone, but in the first 10 minutes of Up, you can see that it's a film that's worth watching. You can see that like there's something creative and interesting going on, right?
Well, yeah, but the reason why I present that as a counter is because if you were to watch the first 10 minutes of Up and then stop for whatever reason, and you're like, Up is like the most incredible movie ever. It's like, oh, you're like, you've got like an incorrect reading of that film because like you need to finish it, and then you will notice that like it's actually not quite of the same quality as those first 10 minutes. The same can happen the other way around, where like the opening isn't that great. And then, like, as it goes on and it starts to build up speed, it grabs you and things start to pay off.
I said it can. It's happened before. I'm just saying it's very rare.
The
vast majority of the time, I'm like, oh, this movie is fucking stupid. I'm turning it off. And then I go back and rewatch it. It continues to be fucking stupid.
I think that you should give them more time. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't watch movies that way. If I'm going to watch a film, and if I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to finish it. Like, I think that that's all you can do. I think that with a TV show, it can be a bit easier because of the way that the format works. It's a lot easier for me to say, I only watched the first, like, 2 episodes of Peacemaker and I didn't like it. But I can't really say anything about the rest of the season, right? Compared to, I only watched the first, like, 3 scenes of Top Gun, and here's my statement on that film.
Well, I can't verifiably say the whole film is garbage because I didn't watch it. What I can say is the first 20 minutes is fucking not interesting.
What happens if the first 20 minutes...
No, you said there was nothing of value.
Yeah, there's nothing...
You did say that.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not,
exactly.
Well, I disagree with that characterization. I think that's absurd. I don't know that there are many films that I would say, dude, this film, I don't like it much, but, like, the first 20 minutes, there is something of value, the way that it looks. Like, there's that, at the very least, going for it.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't think you can say that about Maverick. That
okay, we probably have very different
valuable.
standards for what we consider to be worth our time to go through and watch.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's films that I don't like that I still figure it's worthwhile to go through. Like, for instance, I watched this whole film. I wasn't enthused about it at all, really, as I was watching it. But I mean, I still sat through to the end because otherwise, I've got an incomplete view of that film fundamentally.
Okay, here's a question. How often do you expect something to be garbage and you start watching it and you don't like it and then you finish it?
What do you mean? Like, how often do I like watch?
How often do you expect a piece of media to be bad, and then you watch it anyway, and you think it's bad most of the time, and then you finish it and you're like, oh yeah, it's bad.
That happens. Yeah, a decent amount, sure.
Yeah, see, that would never happen to me. I would never. First of all, I would never watch something I expect to be bad. I just don't do that. That's, by the way, for chat. This is why I don't come on EFAP, because I don't fucking watch anything. I expect to hate all this shit, so I don't watch it. This is the main reason I never go on EFAP. It's like a pretty rare occurrence.
I think. Well, so the reality, like, here's a good example. I was very apathetic about like Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Like, I was not really interested in watching that film at all. But the MCU was the biggest story going on right now, so I think it's worthwhile to be aware of what that looks like, to be aware of what is like popular by way of story at the moment, and to hopefully provide some like valuable contributions to the discussion around, you know, any given story, whether or not I expect it to be good or bad. And sometimes I go into something and watch it, and I don't have high expectations. I'm surprised. That happens.
Yeah, it happens. Happens sometimes.
Like I will say, like, before watching Arcane, I was like, I don't know. Everybody's saying that this is like the best thing ever. I'm not sure I've got to agree with that. And then I watched it and I really liked it. I mean, and then of course there are times when I don't expect it to be quite so bad, and then it ends up being horrible.
I just find the experience of watching even mediocre films to be like painful. I just can't.
I find it to be.
And
well,
bad stuff is
I just don't feel comfortable
God.
talking about it. That's all. Like, I don't want to make any big, bold, sweeping statements about something that I haven't played, like, well, to completion.
I am perfectly happy. I will talk a bunch of shit about Marvel without having watched any of this garbage. I'm perfectly happy to do that.
I mean, you can do that. I just think that it's not a great strategy because it just makes it a lot harder. I think that there's gonna always be like an instinctual gut reaction if you didn't watch it, like you didn't complete it. There's stuff that you're missing, and there may well be stuff that is missing. You kind of have to accept that there may well be things from your discussion that are missing, where you might be like, that didn't make sense. It's like, oh, but there was a scene later in the film that explains that. And then you just have to take the L more often because you just have less information.
I would bet you $100 that if I went back right now, download Top Gun Maverick and watch it, that nothing in the film recontextualizes the first 20 minutes to change my opinion about any of it. I would straight up bet you $100 at 1 to 3 odds.
Yeah, but that's like, betting on something that's based off of what you say your opinion is. So that would be retarded for anyone to.
I'm not talking about the practicality of the bet. I'm saying that
what a fool.
You're telling me, oh, well, it's just all going to get recontextualized. I really don't think it is.
Okay,
I've had enough
I guess
experience
it might be
going back
worth
and
talking
rewatching
about.
stuff.
So one of the core themes of Top Gun Maverick is essentially extolling the virtue of like the human who's in control of the plane. It's not the plane, it's the pilot. It's the guy behind the wheel and like their skills and competence that is ultimately the determiner of who wins and who wins in battle. And the whole idea with Maverick is that he's like outdated, you know, like he's out of time. Like the era that he lived in of being like the pilot going out there into these like battles and, you know, like the sort of ace in the sky, that like that guy, like that's just getting pushed away because you've got like drones and automation and like these new technologies that are essentially making people like him redundant. And his perspective is essentially, well, yeah, maybe that'll be the case, but for so long as I can continue to do what I'm good at, I'm going to do that. And so like then over the course of the story, they go into their battle, they get into like a really outdated plane, and then, you know, they use that plane to basically like survive and win the day. And I obviously have a lot of problems with like the plotting that happens in that section, but like that's the gist of it, is that essentially it's like technology is definitely a factor, but at the end of the day, it's the guy who is wielding the technology that ultimately determines like, you know, who succeeds or who fails.
But how does that relate to the beginning? So in the beginning, his goal is to get it...
Well, hold on a second. Like, I'm getting there. The beginning scene is the scene where he gets into like the super duper fast plane, right? The one that he's trying to push to get it to the furthest extent it possibly can. And it doesn't work, right? Like it fails, it screws up, and it all blows up. And he
specifically needs to hit a 10 to meet some kind of a target,
that's what he's going
to
for.
appease Mr. Boss Suit, and he hits it, and then he just keeps going for no fucking reason and blows the plane up.
Keeps going because he wants to keep going. Is that not apparent to you? He wants to see how far he can go.
It's fucking stupid.
It's not. It's in character.
It is stupid if the plane blows up. What do you mean?
He is willing to see how far he can go to push his limits for the sake of seeing what he can do. Because, like, that's what he's invested in, is, like, his capacity to do these things. That's the point.
No, that's not the point. He's in the fucking plane to hit a 10 so that he can secure funding to keep the fucking Top Gun program going.
Yes, he wants to...
And then instead he blows up a fucking multi-billion-dollar plane.
No,
he's going to get for the fucking chick cancer. What do you mean?
But personally, that's his goal, is to try and see what he can do to push the limits as far as he can. That's what he's motivated to do. That's like what... the whole point as well is that, like, that's what enables him to, like, win at the end of the day, right? It's because he's willing to push really hard. Because, like, what you miss in the story is that they've got, like, this run that they're trying to do. That's an incredibly dangerous run. There's an expectation that people are going to get killed because of, like, the nature of the amount of G-force they got to put on themselves and, like, the maneuvers that are incredibly difficult. But, Maverick,
you missed in the story, apparently, is that the whole point is they're trying to keep this shit's on a razor's edge. They're about to get fucking shut down by Mr. Boss Suit, okay? And he goes up and he does what is necessary to keep the program going, and then for no fucking reason blows up a piece of equipment, cost $1 billion.
Stop saying it's for no reason. He had a reason. He wants to see how far he can go.
It's a stupid fucking reason. The program should have been shut down because they were on a razor's edge, and now they just lost the fucking plane.
It's about whether you believe that that's a choice that he would make, and it's a choice I believe he would make. That's the point. That's what matters when it comes to determining a character.
So he's an idiot.
It's not about idiocy. I don't know what to tell you. Like it's that this is something that matters to him a lot. It's like seeing how far he can go and pushing the limits. That's something he's always done, and it's brought him success in the past. But, like, that's kind of the point, right? Is that, like, people starting to doubt whether that's, like, the way that things should be done. Yeah. But then at the end of the film, it venerates his method.
The plane to explode, he wouldn't actually.
He wouldn't do it. He knew that it was a possibility, but, like, he wanted to see how far it could go. And then it had negative consequences, right? Like, because sometimes people make decisions that backfire and screw up.
Okay,
But, like,
so
whether or not
let's
it's in
just- let's
character
just-
is the point
let's
that matters.
let's walk through this step by step and see if you maybe I have something wrong. Let's see if you disagree with anything. Okay, the whole reason he's going up in the plane is to convince a dude in a suit to keep the program going because they're on a razor's edge as to whether or not the program can keep going. Right? I'm correct about that. Okay.
Yep.
And something that would make the program get shut down is needlessly blowing up $1 billion plane.
Yeah, of course, that's a possibility that will screw everything up for sure.
How is that a possibility? That's like the most likely outcome.
That's
Well,
what
there-
that's
there
literally
is-
what
there
a
is-
possi- that's
well,
literally
so-
what possibility is.
It's possible, yes.
I'm saying if the plane blows up, okay, if the plane blows up, this is the most likely outcome is the program gets shut down because it's already on a razor's edge of being shut down. And now they're massively.
Remember,
looks
one
like
of the
he
big
took a
one of
risk.
the big objectives of the mission as well is to show that they can even get up to 10 Gs. They did. So like they succeeded, right? As far as he's concerned, I've hit the goal. Let's see how far I can go. And then of course that has negative consequences for him. But like that's his perspective. Yeah, we succeeded. Now let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can do better than that.
Is there any cost incurred from him blowing the plane up?
Well, I mean, his whole like mission gets changed. He gets reassigned. He then gets moved on to do a different mission afterward. And then of course there's like the fact that he does get like reprimanded for it. But he gets transferred to a new mission. He needs to train the new generation of Top Gun pilots to do this dangerous mission.
And why would they have him do that?
Because he's the best pilot that they have.
If
You
he's
gotta
the
watch
best
the
pilot
film. You gotta watch the movie. I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, I think the film's got problems, but like I'm gonna defend it here. Like, you gotta watch the film.
I mean, the information the film has presented to me doesn't make any fucking sense.
It seems I don't.
As long
I
as you
don't see what
ignore
you're not
everything that I've
understanding.
said, yeah,
honestly.
like as long as you
I
ignore
legitimately
everything I've said
don't
about
see
who
why you
Maverick
can't
is,
see it. It's very clear.
then
It's very important that he quote unquote pushes things to the limit for no particular reason when he has an exact goal and when there's
keep
very
telling you what his
very
reason is,
narrow
though.
margins
It's
of
poor.
failure and when the consequences aren't just to him, it's to his entire program and his friends and fucking everything. And he hits his goal and secures what he needs, and then for no fucking good reason pushes past it for no reason, blows up a fucking $1 billion
I'm saying for no
for no
reason.
And
reason.
realistically,
for no
What's your
reason,
name
it's
now?
actually kind
Can
of
you
ticking me
stop
off.
saying
at
for
this
no
point.
reason?
what?
It's actually really kind of like getting on my nerves.
okay, he wants to push it to the limit. That's the reason.
yes,
Why?
And
He wants to
himself,
see how
by
far he can
extension,
go.
most likely.
because that's what he values. That's really important to him. It's like pushing the limits of what people can do. Like he is very much, and that's core throughout the story, right? Because like I said before, one of the core themes that they're trying to go for is the military, the apparatus, the world that they're in believes that essentially Maverick is antiquated. Like the role that he fulfills is going to be redundant eventually. Well, yeah, but the problem is that at the end of the film, they're proven wrong. He succeeds. The mission that he plans and that he flies, like they succeed based on what he can do, what these pilots that he trained can do. So like he's venerated. That's like the point of the film, is that like he has a point that like people who are willing to push to the limits to do the absolute to see how far they can go, even if that means putting themselves in danger, that they can achieve incredible things. It's like one of the points of the film. But you missed it though. You didn't watch the movie. Like, yeah, you didn't get to that part yet. Rewatch the film. That's all I'm saying. You should rewatch the film, and then we can talk about it afterward, and we'll see.
All right,
like, if you change your mind on it.
if you want to talk about it, I'll go watch the whole fucking movie, and then we can talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You might change your mind. Who knows?
All right, we'll see. Maybe
see.
it'll become a secret masterpiece, or I'll realistically probably just. delete it.
So remember, I did say that I think that film's got
Fringy.
problems. I don't think that film is a masterpiece. I have a lower opinion of it than most people do. I think. I just think it's got merits, like it does.
Based on how you
I mean,
talk
it had
about
like
it, I can believe
it had
it,
like
yeah.
an 8.7 on IMDb. So yeah,
So I
would
wouldn't
I would
give it- I
hope that
wouldn't
you
give it
think
an-
less of it than the average person.
I wouldn't give it an 8.7. No way. I don't think it's that good. like I said, the main observation I would make is that it doesn't have very lofty narrative goals, but it achieves them well, for the most part. It's mainly the plotting in the third act that I take issue with more so than like decisions that characters make. It's just kind of standard plotting problems, but I mean, otherwise, it would be hard for the characters to act
let me
in
see.
a contradictory manner. They're pretty straightforward.
Let me see if I can be a psychic for a second, because I haven't seen the third act. Okay, But so the point of the film is that you push things to the limit and you're a fucking brave maverick rogue and you do your fucking crazy shit and it works out, right? Does he plan some crazy shit? Does he plan some crazy shit and it works out because of like Deus Ex Machina shit where it really shouldn't, doesn't make a lot of sense and it's kind of fucking stupid, but it works out because the movie makes it work out? Is that what happens?
It's not that he makes like a plan per se, but rather that the decisions that he needs to make in order to like survive this really perilous situation, a lot of things line up in ways that are very convenient and lucky. So it's not really much of an impugning on the character because there's like, what other choices does he have in that situation? Essentially, it's just like, man, it's real lucky that things have lined up here, like in a way that enables you to do these things. That's basically like my main criticism of the third act.
Okay. That might be what I said, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of close, but yeah. But again, you watch the movie. We can talk about it.
If that is the case, then the core theme of the film is just fucking terrible. It's like, oh, we got to push it to the limit and blow up a plane for no fucking reason, and then the finale, where we're supposed to like fucking push it to the limit, and then but they only succeed because the fucking film has plot armor, and fucking Tom Cruise just flies through the sky and fucking everything's fine for no goddamn reason. Yeah, it'd be fucking great. A+ movie.
Okay, calm down.
Clearly you've seen it.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's that good, right? But we could talk about it later. Do you want to do super chats, Metal? Or
I mean, yeah. I haven't seen the movie at all, not even 20 minutes, so I'm just shutting my mouth.
Yeah, no, I know. That's kind of the problem.
just listening.
Most of us haven't seen it, so.
Oh, hey, Chad, you doing all right?
That was Avatar 2, though, guys.
Yeah. Avatar 2 was not good.
The Way of Water. It was stink.
We went from the water into the sky somehow. Crazy.
Unless you really need some visual porn. I guess that's just porn. If you just need some, like, if you want to look at something that's really impressive technologically, then I guess I'd recommend it. But, even then.
Right. Let's do them chatteroonies. It's one in German. No one's gonna understand that, except German people probably. Hier ist mein Lieblingspodcast. Jedes Bild eine Pause mit Metall, mit dem Frosch und dem Hund. Und keine schwulen Müller.
Ja, Deutschland, über alles.
No!
Es tut mir leid.
I know what they talk about. I know what they talk about in their little secret language. I know what they say to each other. I know what it means. I wasn't born yesterday.
Wait, is there actually a movie named Cocaine Bear?
Yeah, that's coming out.
Let's hope the first
soon.
20 minutes are good.
I actually have a lot of faith for movies with meme titles. Hot Tub Time Machine, I will defend as being a funny movie. Maybe Cocaine Bear.
I watched that once and I can't remember anything about it.
Neither can I, but I had a good time.
Which is not a great sign, because, for instance, the Other Guys, that was a movie that came out around the same time, and I remember a lot about that movie.
The other guys had one of the best scenes in comedy history, where they're like,
they jump
aim
off,
for the bushes.
Yeah,
fucking jump off.
It's just,
that shit is
nothing
so fucking
there.
good.
It's such a great joke.
So fucking good. That's some of the
funniest
shit
abrupt
ever.
music cuts out as they crash into the concrete.
Oh man,
that was an A fucking plus bit.
Right, so to reload the fleems here. Why did the water tribe vanish during the final battle? We don't know. They just go away.
They were too expensive. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it. It's bizarre how they just vanish. I mean, maybe it is just a tribe thing. They just pranked the rest of the family like his child did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my headcanon.
Yeah, just prank.
This is just what they do. They don't like someone, and they're just like get him to go into a dangerous situation and fuck off. That would be really good. And it would actually have like a story structure because it like would have set up and it's like complicated and layered and shit. That means
what was in the first 20 minutes of this movie that made you watch it to the end?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Was it just because it was James Cameron, the bravest pioneer? No budget too steep, no too deep. Is that? It's him, James Cameron?
It's James Cameron.
Because I watched it mainly because it's James Cameron. That is actually why I watched it.
That is probably the main reason that I watched it, yeah.
I still find him interesting, even though at this point it's like, man, it's been a long time since you made films I really enjoyed.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I don't want to go see, like, random dumb fuck, Spider-Man reboot number 47 because like there's no way I'm gonna love it. But like James Cameron has the potential of making a movie I'm gonna love.
Did you not
It's
like
like-
No Way Home?
I didn't even see it.
Oh, all right.
I haven't seen almost the only comic book movie that I've seen after Infinity War was Shang-Chi, and that's because Mahler asked me to watch it. I don't think I've seen any of the rest of them.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Yeah.
Okay, what else here? Jake Sully is a race trader. Oh no. Do you think the movie will break even? They have to make double, right, to make it break even, right? That's like the.
Yeah, it needs to make like I think like $2 billion probably. It
Jesus.
needs to make a lot of money, like at
Is,
least 1.5 would be my guess.
Is Avatar big on merchandising?
I think they got toys and stuff, but like I don't know if they're as big as like Marvel or Disney.
There's
Well, there's
there's
no
Av-
way. There's
there's
no way they're
Avatar-
as big as Marvel and Disney.
There's Avatar Lego. I saw that.
Yeah, they have Lego sets. That's right.
Dude, it's like a Lego store in the city I live, and I went there with my friendo before we went to the cinema, and we're just kind of looking around and just looking at Lego is so fucking expensive. It's absolutely
Indeed.
insane.
Lego is
It can get
Lego is
expensive,
criminally
yeah.
expensive,
Dude,
Fucking 3D print that shit. What the fuck?
it's
It is
man,
so expensive.
it's I was shocked. I mean, I don't even buy it, but I just tried to remember how much it cost back in the day. I was like, that
Dude.
wasn't that much. Not even close.
My ex-girlfriend was talking about buying a Lego set, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And she's like, are you sure it's like $200? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
I wanted to get my mom
Is it a Switch?
what?
I was like, it costs as much as a Switch.
Oh, yeah,
It's
some
so
of them.
expensive.
I wanted to buy my mom Mjolnir Lego because she has like the Thanos hand, the gauntlet. I mean, sorry, Infinity Gauntlet. There you
Infinity
go.
cones.
I got her some Infinity cones. I was like, oh, let's get that Lego one. It's like 150 euro or something. It's like, what? No. And then I looked at it. It looks really shit. Like, it looks really blame in Lego. So I was like, fuck that. Anyway, how do the Sea Tribe speak English? I think they just put it in English for us. Like they say in the beginning, or Jake in the beginning says, "Oh, I've just been talking Navi this whole time. It might as well be English," and that's where the subtitles turn off and they just talk English.
I assume, yeah.
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 James Cameron gonna pull a Chairman Breen, the second aliens invade STG. Why does he hate humanity so much? A Chairman
Wait, Cocaine
Breen?
Bear? Wait a second. Cocaine
Wait,
Bear is
hmm?
directed by Elizabeth Banks?
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It stars
Yes.
Ray Liotta and Kerry Russell?
I guess after Charlie's Angels, that's what's next up. Like the next. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she is.
What in
directing
the
it.
actual fuck?
Oh yeah, like yeah, right. Like it's got like actors I recognize in it. Huh. Okay.
Alright.
Ooh.
I got a movie to look forward to next year.
Well,
Cocaine
apparently
Bear.
the cocaine bear is a real bear that overdosed on cocaine in the
Yeah.
80s.
Finally getting the
So
recognition.
it's based
that
on
he
a true
deserves.
story?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
oh
there
my
was
god.
actual-
Wait. It's based on a true historical story. It's fucking Oscar bait.
What?
That was a joke. Lots of movies that are like based on a true
they
story,
come out,
in-
like,
in
around
history are
January,
fucking Oscar
February,
bait.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's a sequel to The Revenant that I didn't know I needed.
Last one. It's funny. All the world building James Cameron put into these movies is undercut by the fact that they're populated by cardboard cutouts. I guess that refers to the characters that are very bland.
Cardboard's more relatable.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh.
That is a weird thing. They spend so much time on the characters, but like, if I
You
think
don't-
about
yeah, you
like,
just don't get it.
I don't even remember the names of the
Yeah.
children. Like, whatever.
well, there's so many different ways that you can do characterization, but they just don't really explore. There's not like interesting relationships. They don't have deep personalities. Like, Most of them don't have a deep or interesting backstory. There aren't like
No.
mysteries associated with the characters. There isn't any like suspense in what they're gonna do. It's
Tons of mystery behind the characters. Will we learn what this character
Will
is
we
about?
learn?
Will we discover their personality? Will they do anything interesting? There's lots of mystery.
yeah.
Mystery flames. It's a whole half EFAB. Always wanted to say hi, Rags. And kick
Hello, hi.
and kick Ra off a roof. Oh, man.
Oh my goodness.
We shall do that.
Let it be written, so let it be done.
James Cameron is into Blue Cat Girl aliens. Based.
Very based.
Very based. Over, under 50% that the Barbie movie is better written. I mean, that.
Sure. Yeah,
mean,
why not?
Rax, aren't you the Barbie movie expert here? You should know that.
If we're talking about the old animated ones, I've seen a number of them.
So they probably have better writing then, you would say.
Wait, is
I don't know about
is Greta,
that.
who's Greta Gerwig?
Oh, she's directing the Barbie movie.
Is she good?
Didn't she did that Lady Bird film, right? That got a lot of nominations, awards, and stuff.
Okay.
But then again, Chloe Zhao was like an Oscar-winning director, and she did Eternals. So, like, I don't know. It depends.
Well,
It's a big, expensive
James
film.
Cameron did Avatar
Well,
too.
That's true.
Well, here's the
yeah.
thing. When I look at like the people behind a film, I'm not trying to convince myself that it's gonna be good because I will never think that. Okay, Quentin Tarantino just made a dog shit movie. I just want to know that it's possible that it'll be good, right? It's like so we can
Do you
have
think
some
that,
fucking
Once
hopium.
Upon a Time in Hollywood is bad?
Yeah,
Dog
I can't
shit?
stand that movie. I think it's
Oh.
actually a bad movie.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I remember not enjoying it as much as a lot of his other films, but I don't know what to be saying about it that I think it's like really deficient. But
Still,
I don't recall a whole bunch about that film, so
I have another one I haven't seen.
I mean that is considered a hot take. People don't think it's
yeah,
that bad. but,
that
like,
is a hot take.
Hot take from you? I can't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, like, to be fair, like, I'm harder on Tarantino apparently than a lot of people because, like, he's my favorite director. I fucking love his movies. Like, to watch him make a genuinely fucking dog shit movie is pretty fucking painful.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather they just adapted the Pandora incident instead, which is a fanfic where it's the Imperium of Man that discovers Pandora. Ooh.
I'd love to have Avatar fanfic. What could go wrong?
You mean what can go right?
I don't know.
That was sex joke.
Oh yeah, I'd fuck the shit out of a.
Kick Doomer, get wrecked. That was even before the Top Gun thing. It was
That's
just
the
in
nice thing
general.
about having me.
So something that I would actually chime in on, because I'm recalling, I remember I had a conversation, Muller and I had a conversation with YMS because he got in a bit of trouble. I think because he posted a review for a film that was based on like watching a film part way through. I think the clarification would be that I think that you can make observations about something based on incomplete experiences of it. I think you just need to accept that there's always going. I think the one thing is you need to be incredibly clear that it's based on that amount of time that you've seen it. And you need to accept that there will be a kind of flack that you get that's going to be difficult to counter just because you don't have the total amount of information. You can do it, and I don't even think it's like wrong to do it. I just think that it's like not the way. I would rather avoid doing that. Personally.
Well, yeah, if I was on my new channel personality, I wouldn't do it just because it's not worth the fucking trouble. But I don't. I don't give a fuck about Doomer.
Especially,
So.
I would say, particularly, if you want to convince people, you should watch something to. Not only should you watch it to completion, but you should be watching it over. You should be looking at any supplementary material, like other stories that are related to it. Like, I mean, it's something that kind of became clear in the Ragnarok coverage. If you were going to do, like, a comprehensive review of God of War Ragnarok, you need to play all the games, you need to play multiple times, you need to play Ragnarok a few times, and try and, like, 100% it, and, you know, I guess, if you get some insight, the Crash Bandicoot video was the product of a 100% complete. Well, close to it. I think I stopped on the time trials because it was legitimately hurting my hand. Like it was like actually pretty painful to try and do those. But that was based on going for all of the gems, that was that took a while. That took me like a whole fucking month,
Mm.
like to do that. But that's what you got to do if you want to be comprehensive.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm not
otherwise-
gonna. That's part of why I don't want to watch this fucking comic book shit. Because like, in order to understand what's going on, I would need to watch 15 other movies, and I don't want to do
my
that.
Endgame video was I watched a lot of Marvel movies for my Endgame review. I
Yeah,
watched
I
a
just-
lot of them.
I can't be asked, but like with the Tarantino thing, I've gone back and rewatched all of his movies at least once, except for one. I couldn't get through Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I really hate that movie. It's like not good. I watched Death Proof. I got through that. I couldn't get through Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I watched all the other shit. I went back through all the critical reviews. I've gone back through like fucking Reddit posts about shit. I'm doing like a data analysis thing, looking at like the stats on it and the way that like different audiences are looking at shit. Yeah, like you do a lot if you really want to get into shit. But
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't. I it was pretty obvious. I'm not like giving a comprehensive rebuttal of Topic of Maverick. It's just like I thought this movie was so dog shit I couldn't even sit through it. Right? It's pretty clear that's what I was saying. But people don't like that. But that's fine. I can upset chat while I'm still being called Doomer. It's fine.
Did all chat just die? Wait, did it?
Let me check.
No.
All I have is James Moore. That's all
Yeah.
I've got.
Me too.
Doomer. I can see
Oh,
Doomer.
no, there we
then
go.
have
I guess it's
Leto.
just a-
okay. That's weird.
Just a random pause.
Yeah, that's strange. Yeah.
Right. Where's my window? There it is. I'm here. Nope. Hi. I'm cooking, bitch.
It's a good way to get your metrics up. Every once in a while, just have a plant say, "Is chat dead?"
Oh,
And then
it's
50 people will say no.
Nice.
It irritates me that this film alludes to Tarkovsky's cinematic masterpiece Stalker of 1979 in Kiri's grass rolling scene, yet has the nerve to be as shallow and mundane as it is. I mean, that's not even the thing I noticed because I don't think I've seen that movie. I only know the Stalker games, and even those I don't know very well. But yeah,
Chat, you want to hear some hot takes on Stalker?
Stop. I need to work tomorrow. I don't have all night. Let's see. Does this film live up to the stupidity of the first one? I.e., the soundtrack being completely hypocritical, the movie being wrong about the bad guys. Wait, the soundtrack being hypocritical? How does that work? Just
Okay,
being-
also-
the
being-
music tells you who the good guys and the bad
Hold on.
guys are, like, pretty clearly.
maybe,
Hold on,
yeah, probably.
I'm actually really triggered. Andrew Lindsay, the whole, one of my biggest problems with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the movie does not build up to the ending. The ending is very out of place, both tonally and in terms of plot. Okay, it's not true.
But I mean, do you think that makes
Good
it
meme
bad?
film.
That it's an unexpected, like, that like it's kind of in a sense it's not what you were expecting at all.
It's not that it wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting the end of Inglourious Bastards, but that was fucking amazing. Is it just doesn't fit with the rest of the film? I mean, it's
I
completely
need to
totally
rewatch
different. It
I
doesn't.
can't talk about it. I
Yeah,
can't.
like, it's
It's been
just-
too long.
Nothing really. The film doesn't really point very strongly in a direction. So like, it doesn't really like. It doesn't give you the strong impression that anything in particular is going to happen. But even in retrospect, there's nothing in the film that like even comes close to implying that the ending of that movie is going to happen. The only way that it would make sense, and this is part of my problem with the film, the only way that it really makes sense is if you have outside knowledge of the events and you like know what happened with the Manson family, you know what happened with all of this shit, and like that's informing your expectations of the ending rather than the movie itself. If you're just watching the movie and you don't know much about the Manson family, the end would be like, what the fuck was that? That came out of completely nowhere, right? And like, I don't know, some people would be fine with that, but I'm not.
Very well.
Yeah, good point. Chat. The only way Inglourious Bastards makes sense is if you know that they killed Hitler.
If you didn't know who Hitler was, would
Oh, I know who
Inglourious
Hitler is.
Basterds work?
Yes, it would still make sense if you didn't know who Hitler was.
Someone in chat is asking whether to go watch this movie if it's only because it looks good in cinema. Wait for it to go to streaming or something. I don't know. I wouldn't really recommend. I mean, if you want the big movie experience, I mean, you get a pretty
You
good
have to
visual
do that,
experience.
yeah.
You probably
I
have to
kinda-
go in the cinema to the cinema.
I kind of think if you want to watch the Avatar 2, I think you want to go see it in a movie theater.
Yeah, like that's the
I
best
think it would
way
lose
to.
a lot at home.
Yeah, probably unless you have like 4K, but still, then it's
Well, there's two
Probably.
things. One is that your setup at home isn't going to be as good, and the second thing is it's a really fucking boring movie. So if you watched it at home, you can just leave, and you probably will. So
I'm gonna leave my house. I'm gonna move to a new apartment.
You'll be like on your phone, like playing Candy Crush or some shit, like
Yeah.
waiting for the movie to go somewhere for like 2 hours.
Next film will be called Avatar 3: Last Airbender.
Yeah, the next one he's going to go stay with the air tribes up in the mountains.
Cast on Fire asks, can they put the whales in Avatar bodies? That'd be something.
Can they put souls in snakes?
Yeah. No, just gonna put those whale in Avatar bodies. You're gonna go or whatever noises they make. I don't know. Oh wow, 3 of my favorite streamers and Metal talking about a movie I'll never watch. Also, hi Rex.
Nice. Hello.
Doomer is the worst contrarian. Wow, you got wrecked.
See, I'm not a
all right.
contrarian. You get it right. I'm not a contrarian. I'm a hater. Okay, I hate everything.
I'm a hater. Let's see. Rank movies in anticipation: Barbie, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Cocaine Bear. Also, this
Blood
movie
and
ain't gonna.
Honey.
Cocaine Bear #1.
Winnie the Pooh is public domain, so you know.
So there's like that horror Winnie the Pooh one, right? I haven't really seen anything about this. The only thing. Go ahead.
It's horror Winnie the Pooh?
I mean, it's called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, so yeah.
Let me Google it.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the trailer for that. I've seen the Cocaine Bear one. It looks like really stupid, but it could be fun. And I don't know, that Barbie movie, it's like that live action movie. I don't know.
What? Wait, it's public domain, so we can make a movie called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Soil, or he's a fascist.
But yeah, we'd probably. I mean, the only one I've seen anything about really is Cocaine Bear. I kind of want to watch that one. That could be fun.
Wait. So the tagline of this movie is, it follows Pooh and Piglet as they go on a rampage after Christopher Robin abandons them for college.
Nice.
Okay, maybe Rags is right. This sounds funny as fuck.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be Cocaine Bear, Winnie the Pooh, and then Barbie. With Barbie being not in any anticipation at all, I think. So it's very low on that thing. Let me reload here real quick. Let's see. If Fringy gets to 100k subscribers, he has to play an Anthony Braxton piece on the saxophone.
No, I don't have to do that.
I mean, it says it right here, so I don't know.
I'm wondering if you guys know. So, did Christopher Nolan explode an atomic bomb?
Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin.
Did
Did
Christopher
Christopher
Robin
Robin?
of Oppenheimer for the
Yeah.
film where he said that he wanted to make a practical
Oh yeah.
explosion. I
Like,
guess it's that they made it so that it looks like a nuclear explosion, but it's not. However they can do that.
Huh.
I hope that film doesn't have some weird like gimmick that gets in the way of the story, like Dunkirk.
Mm-hmm.
Like splitting an atom.
Well, just I don't know, like some sort of like weird, like non-linear. Some like, oh, well, if it's different, you know, like different lens of the camera means it's like a different, I don't know, like it's a dream sequence or something. I just want like the story to be straight.
Shit,
Like,
which one
I
was
just want-
Dunkirk again? Is that with the guy that saves all these people at the end?
Yeah,
It was the one where there's 3 different storylines with like different timelines. Where one is he's on a beach and then he's in a boat and he's like fighting around the Dunkirk, and then one is in like a plane, and then another timeline is like these people going on boats to go to
basically
Dunkirk to rescue people.
the shtick is that the soldiers in Dunkirk, that takes place over the course of a week. The guys on the boat coming over to pick people up takes place over the course of a day. And the Tom Hardy plane stuff is over the course of an hour, but they don't reveal that to you very clearly. So, like, you're kind of unsure as to the nature of how the timeline is playing out. It kind of plays tricks on you. and I found it annoying. I just want to know what's
yeah,
happening.
I was
Clearly.
I was just thinking about Hacksaw Ridge. That was the movie I was thinking about.
Oh yeah, that was Mel Gibson, and that
Yeah.
one.
That was the movie I was
Yeah,
thinking about. But yeah, no, yeah, I think I've seen them both at some point.
Yeah, for you, one of the things I noticed is that like the reason nonlinear stories work so well in Tarantino's movies is that they're always very clear and you're never confused about what's going on. Like, and that's what gets fucked up a lot of times. Other people do it. It's like
Well, I think
we'll use a nonlinear
think-
story and you'll just be confused as fuck.
Well, I think the thing with Dunkirk is it's trying to play on your confusion, which is like that it is working properly by confusing you in a sense, compared to
Maybe,
like
yeah.
that it's meant to be something that's like a trick, like you didn't see that coming, did you? And it's like, no, I guess I didn't, but like doesn't mean I like it. It's kind of how I feel
Yeah.
about that.
True.
I turned off Alien the first 20 minutes. There were no aliens. 0 out of 10.
Pretty lame, pretty boring. I would have walked out, honestly. Same thing with Fellowship of the Ring. Jeez. Like, get on with it already.
Yeah, there wasn't even a ring in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, there was.
First
that's
20
right.
minutes
Like
of
the opening
Fellowship,
scene.
That's
yeah, there was.
multiple rings,
Yeah.
actually. It's a lot of
Fair
rings.
It's-
Yeah.
But I
in
guess
fact,
you mean after that
minutes
point.
to ring ratio is actually highest in the first.
It really is. It's very high. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Well, thank you.
Wow.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Okay. Well, all right.
What else have we got here? If Kratos goes to Egypt in God of War 6 and he isn't kicked off a roof by Ra at some point, then why even bother playing? That's a good point. God, I wonder what we're gonna get. I'm still on
Feels
such
like it's gonna be Egypt.
I'm still on such a high on Ragnarok. I really am.
Yeah,
It's
it's good times.
haven't
It's
haven't
good to be
ex-
surrounded by that positive energy.
haven't
Yeah.
haven't quite experienced anything like that before. It's pretty special. That's what I would put it. And then we got Fringy stream Dark Souls 2 with Metal. No, why with me? No, at 100k.
I don't think I want to ever play Dark Souls 2 based on everything I've heard and seen.
Hey, chat, I'm just saying. I said a long time ago, if I ever get to 10k, I'll play all the way through Dark Souls 2 again. That still stands, so there's your subscription bait.
I hear that H Bomber Guy has a really good video on Dark Souls too.
No, stop.
Someone should make a response, taking into account all the things.
Rags, that doesn't sound very practical. Like, imagine how long that would take.
Yeah, what kind of an absolute autistic, obsessed loser would
Would
go
do
through
that,
the
yeah.
effort and the time to
Yeah.
do that? Certainly no one I would want to associate
Yeah,
with.
I would never be in that
True.
video as well. That would be so cringe. Imagine being in that video. Gross. Puh.
Imagine being featured playing the game in that video
Yeah.
and
ugh.
saying things about it, like on stream.
Imagine that. Imagine that. And I think that was the last super chatteroonie.
Very neato.
Very
in time,
neato
I'm tired.
indeedo. All right. you know what to do. Buy ad space in Times Square to promote Metal's channel.
A part of me wants to know. I want someone to do that experiment where they just put a random YouTube channel that has just like a real channel, but it has a couple thousand subs. It's small and they make decent content. They just never caught on. And then buy a billboard in Times Square that's just all day promoting that channel and legitimately see what that translates to.
Yeah,
in
it
the
would be interesting.
analytics for the day and then maybe the next day. I would be super curious to know what because I could believe it could be incredibly high or incredibly low. Both seem like they could be plausible.
I would bet on
But I think
incredibly low.
Yeah, I would side on low because first off, I don't fucking do what random signs tell me to do. Right?
Yeah.
But also because I just don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care about this random YouTube channel.
I just
and
want
go
Metal's
there.
face crying in
The
Times
thing is,
Square.
like, most YouTube channels are very specific. It's not even just that like someone wants to watch a movie channel. It's like people have very specific interests. It's like, I want to watch a movie channel with like this kind of humor that's talking about this kind of movie with this kind of take. Like, it gets very specific, which is why the algorithm is like pretty fucking important, right? And like if you watch enough stuff, it will start recommending you the shit that you're going to want to watch. But it's like, how many random people in Times Square are going to want to watch exactly the kind of content that you have, right? Like, probably not very many.
Yeah.
That's my take anyway.
If Fringy reaches 100k, he needs to have 100k subs. That is true.
That's true.
That is
it's
a fact.
necessary component of that. Yeah.
Very well. That's true. And then no, it wasn't. Merry Crumbo to all, and to all a good forge. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, Christmas is pretty close now, isn't it?
It is. It is indeed. But yeah, that shall conclude it. Which is probably the final forge of the year. That all depends, really.
Oh wow.
If we're gonna do one when I'm over at Mutually's, which might happen because we're probably gonna watch a lot of movies, and then maybe it's one of them. I gotta do a forge on that one, and then we just fire the stream up. But yeah, hey, fun stuff. Well, you guys got anything going on? Anything to promote? Anything coming out?
I have nothing to report on that front as of yet.
Yeah,
what about you, Duma?
I'll probably have something coming out in like a month and a half, but no need to announce that yet.
All right.
I
About
made
you,
a
Frank?
cartoon. I posted it
Oh.
today. It's called Broken Boomerang. It's pretty short, but
Oh, nice. I haven't seen
took
that
a
yet.
while.
I guess you did that while we were on.
yeah, it actually went up as soon as we started. So that's over on Dubious Sanity, that YouTube channel. Also, I'll be posting it on Twitter anyway. Like,
Yeah.
or I think I've already posted it on Twitter anyway. That there's a. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. It'll only last you 5 seconds, so like it's real short. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Go
And
check it
otherwise,
out.
I'm working on them projects, but I got nothing for you yet. Still,
Yeah.
a lot of work to do.
Links are down below to all of them, except Doomer. He didn't want any links, so get wrecked.
Yeah, you don't get links, chat.
Yeah, I tried, but he was like, "No, don't touch me there." I was like, "Okay, sorry."
Yeah, I should apologize. He asked for my links, and I actually said, "Why don't you go fuck yourself?" And you were like, "Man, that's kind of hostile." Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. Oh, it's fair though. Watch Totoro Pinocchio. Do it. That sounds like
planning on it.
that sounds like a movie I would enjoy. Actually, I might maybe I'll watch it with Mahler. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. Unless you guys watch it before I get over there. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. This was fun. It was a much more crowded forge than I expected, but hey, it was good fun. It was good stuff.
Yeah,
So-
it's good fun.
As I said, probably the last one of this year. Yeah, that it's just going over a year with that forge. 65 episodes. Would you look at that? Going
Oh boy, yeah.
strong.
Strong.
Yeah. I mean, I took that sludge month very seriously. There was like 3 forges in a week at some point, so it was kind of nuts. But hey, it was fun stuff. I'm enjoying doing these, and don't plan on stopping them. But yeah, I don't know when I'll be back with a forge. It all depends.
2 years for
What?
Avatar 3.
Yeah, that's the next forge we're gonna do.
The irritation of sand.
Yeah,
Do
but
you guys think you'll watch the third one, or are you gonna skip it?
Yeah, I'll see it.
I'll probably watch
Probably
it.
watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 2 movies in. I will be legitimately interested as to what it looks like. And if I don't know, I kind of want to see what the plan is. What is James Cameron's concept and plan for essentially Way of Water or Avatar 2 Part 2? You know, like I want to see what's going on here. Does he
Yeah.
have any plans? Will he? Is there any, I guess storytelling talent yet left? So I'll be watching it.
It would be so funny if he just went to stay with the mountain people and it was just the same movie again.
It's like, it's nice here.
I mean, at the same time, that would surprise me, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Wait, the links are broken down there? They shouldn't be.
Uh-oh. Broken.
Wait, they changed them to something else. That's weird. I'll change them here in a bit. Don't you worry. I'll do it. They'll be safe soon. But yeah, as what else going on tomorrow? If you wanna find me and Jay talking about more Star Trek, that's gonna happen tomorrow over on Jay's Twitcheroony. We're gonna talk about 3 more episodes. Put them in the can for when I'm not around. So look out for that. And yeah, then I just have some chore stuff to do. I think we record something on Wednesday if I'm if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I don't know. I might do some more game strumbles. Maybe play some more Dwarf Fortress or whatever. Yeah, and then Crimbus arrives, and then I'm off to the Longman land, which I'm looking forward to. It should be good fun. And you're probably gonna see me and Yipsley play a lot of games on stream and just have drinks, and it's gonna be a fun time. So you have that to look forward to. And that's basically it.
Nice.
And yeah, hey, thanks everyone for hanging out. Thank you three for joining me. It's been fun.
It has been
And,
fun. Thanks for having us. It was
Of course,
good event
all the time,
about
all the
this
time.
shit film.
And yeah, thank you for the generous super chats. Thanks for subscribble pleams and all that good stuff. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you all next time.
Bye
Goodbye.
bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.
Nah.